So I will not
course,
put
yeah.
that at the beginning of the show.
No,
like
please
the last
do it.
great
Do
story.
it. I need all of the horrible press I can get.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
No.
By the way, Vic, I listened to the latest album from Vindicator.
Thank you, man. You didn't have to do that.
No, I didn't have to do it, but I got it from Mark and he sent it over to me. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's like, thrashy and very reminiscent of the, that turn of the 90s thrash where it was like kind of like this like obscene, like, in Megadeth, like Dave Mustaine was like a Democrat at one point.
Right.
And he was doing like the rock the vote thing. So it really reminded me of that.
Days, man. I remember those days. Now that's Megadeth's one of my biggest influences, man. If you couldn't tell, and maybe not so much on that record, but the record prior to that one, was likened to Rust in Peace quite a bit in reviews. So one of my favorite reviews said, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn because I'm not a self-horn tooter, but it was one of my favorite things. It said, well, it was like the catchphrase was like Dave Mustaine wishes he could write these riffs or something. And I was like, wow, that's a massive compliment. That was my 15 Minutes of Fame was the record, the full length prior to the one that you listened to. Because his son actually shared one of the songs. That was my 15 Minutes of Fame. Justice Mustaine shared one of the tracks off that. And I thought, oh boy, and nothing happened.
Which one was that? Which
United We Fall.
That's the one with the knight on it? Is that the one? Yeah, okay.
KK Slayer would be perfect. That's what I want to see. Since there's already then the Priest and Slayer can go on tour together.
Right.
They could do a Saved by the Bell theme band and call it AC Slayer.
Yeah.
That
would be awesome.
That
AC
would be
Slayer.
great. Oh, right. AC Slayer, right. Just bring on Tiffany Amber Thiessen. I am there.
Yeah. That's right. That you don't got to do nothing else.
I should invite her on the show.
It could be like Warren's cherry pie, the videos.
That's right.
Yes.
Instead of like washing a car, it's like she's just getting doused in blood. And,
all right.
Cherries all poured over there. Yeah, cherry pie filling.
Yeah, exactly.
Cherry pie filling.
Oh
man.
Justin, if I still had my LPs, I would send them your way. I used to have a if you like obscure kind of stuff, I had Donny Osmond Disco Train that I bought for $1 at a flea market, just because I'm like, how can I not have this fucking record? And then I also had Attila, Billy Joel's first band.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, where he's like standing with his partner and like all these like slabs of meat. They're wearing these like furs and like it's like this Viking furs. I'm like, I gotta get this. And on the back it says William Joel Capricorn or whatever it is. It's like he's sweating only two things: perfecting his music in Southeast Asia. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah,
this is great. Welcome.
Hey, Kristian.
How's it going, man?
Hey, dudes. It's all good.
Welcome back.
Yes, welcome back.
It's been like forever, man.
Dude, that face hugger. That face
like
hugger behind you is awesome.
Yeah, I got it from my band members, my buddies.
So cool. You can make a guitar out of that.
Yeah,
like that's in the shape of a guitar already. That would be
man.
Awesome.
That'd be fucking sweet.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
Be good. I haven't actually seen it, so that looks actually really good.
That's the coolest gift ever. Love it so much.
That would be great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh man, hey, we're so glad to have you guys back on with us. Just hanging out, and we also want to give you guys a plug because this is going to air, I think, the night before your show that you have coming up. That you're headlining this big show. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, that's good. So I saw you guys were at Candlemass. That must have been a phenomenal show.
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah. Kristian went actually the day we went on 2 different days because the first day they were doing Epicus, Doomicus, Metallicus in its entirety, and then a few tracks.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that was the gig I went to, and then Kristian went to Nightfall.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Wow. Damn, what a hell of a couple of shows.
I have to say that I've seen a lot of gigs in my life. Like I've seen Sabbath, I've seen Maiden, I've seen Metallica, Megadeth, you name it, all the greats. But that for me was actually, I think that's Epicus, Doomicus, Metallicus gig was probably the best gig I've ever seen.
Wow.
Wow.
That's something.
What made it so saying a lot? What made it so great for you?
I think that Kristian can agree. It was the sound. The sound was brilliant.
Okay.
It was the sound was awesome. It was perfect volume, and it's just the heaviness, and we talked about this today at rehearsal. I mean, they tuned down quite a bit for Johan to be able to hit those those melodies that Messiah did, especially on Nightfall. and it's so heavy, but the sound was crystal clear, and they played just like all the best songs, you know.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Oh, we just sat there like, oh, goosebumps all the time. And
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, they came out with, when I saw them at least, I know that with Kristian, it must have been Well of Souls was the first track, it must have been.
Yeah.
So when I saw them, it was Solitude.
Oh man!
And I remember it just, they came out really slow, like, Mappe came out on the guitar and he did the opening riff on the acoustic, and it's tuned down so that Johan can hit the notes he used to be able to do. And I think that was a really smart thing to do.
Sure. A lot of bands do that as they do that. And, Candlemass wasn't tuned down low enough. So, right.
Yeah, I mean, but they were in standard. I mean, they were in
Right.
E tuning.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, so it was really good. But anyways, like as soon as Johan came on, and it was so cool to see Leif, Leffe, doing his thing on stage, and just he would come to the front of the stage. You could really see that he was just enjoying it. Because the gigs that I'd seen with him prior, the gigs that I'd seen with Candlemass prior, he wasn't actually playing bass live. So all the times I've seen Candlemass, that was the first time I saw Candlemass with Leffe.
Yeah.
Oh,
And just seeing him in the front, enjoying it, and just really like jubilant, and just, I'm so happy to be here.
Yes.
That was what made the gig for me.
Oh, sure.
So it
That
was
makes a
great.
huge difference when you know that when they're happy, or they show that, or they have that participation, with the audience. It does make you feel like it's a special moment, of connection. And so I've always liked that. Like with King Diamond, there's a lot of interaction with the audience, and like when I've seen Opeth, Michael Ackerfeld, like the show I saw in Cleveland. Like after the first song, he stopped and he's like, he goes, "Does anyone have any questions?" And like he answered a couple of people's questions. I'm like, what kind of show is this? And then they got back playing, but I love that
Sounds like-
interaction.
Sounds like Mick, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that the thing that made that gig also really good, I don't know how many, was it like 500 people there, Kristian? Like how many people just saw
wow.
Yeah, at the most 400 or 500 at the most.
400 or 500. So it's a very intimate
It's
gig.
like it was a sitting, it was a theater, so it was sitting crowd, no stand. Oh, it was standing like around a little bit, but otherwise it was just seated people.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. They released a few general admission tickets. I think it was like 20 or 30 tickets, so that people could stand on the side.
Yeah, exactly.
But other than that, it was sitting.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, that's
Perfect.
great. Awesome.
Yeah, really good.
I hope you guys get to see it in the States. I hope you get to see that tour.
I'd like
Yeah.
that, and I hope to see you guys come over here, or do more shows online, like when Vic, came across you guys. I'd like to see that as options. I know you're doing your shows. Are you doing like videos of your shows? Are you planning on releasing like a DVD or something like that?
I don't think that's in the plans, at least. I think we want to get out and play live. And it's no offense, even though the streaming gigs were fun, I really don't want to do that. I want to play live.
Right.
Like, that's something like, if I have to, yes. But for me, stream gigs are, as a musician, it's boring.
Sure.
Right. Are any of the live gigs getting streamed though, or any of the
or cameras?
Because
oftentimes
cameras
they will record them.
I think that these gigs are a bit more low key. The gigs that we play next year might, I think, like Rock Hard and stuff like that. There'll be like.
Yeah, I think Rock Hard gig might be streamed. I think. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, and maybe Sweden Rock might do something. I don't know.
Nice.
They're doing like a pre-party warm-up right now with like Hardcore Superstar and stuff. So maybe that will get streamed as well. Not too sure. But
really, what we need to do is just the four of us guys. We just need to go to Sweden. And
Exactly.
and just hang out and just.
We're stacking up with you, buddy. Yeah.
yeah,
That's right.
okay.
We'll call David DeFay and invite him along too. He can bring a sword for
Come along for
everybody.
a ride. Let's get all our.
Wouldn't be the first American I've put up when I've.
Nice.
It'll be the
been
last.
out my-
Excellent.
No problem.
Good.
You're more than welcome.
Well, thank you very much. So I know you can't stay forever, so we'll go ahead and get get things rolling. When we do our introductions, after Vic the wild card, I'd love for you guys to introduce yourselves, be part of the show. If you want to make up a name for yourself, like we all have, you're more than welcome. As far as we're concerned, you're part of the heavy metal horror family. So just like freaks, Google Gobble.
Our
Google
first
Gobble.
return guest.
One of us.
So somebody,
That's right.
somebody
That's right.
doesn't hate us.
That's right. Yeah.
This is Matt Thompson from King Diamond, and you're listening to Heavy Metal Horror.
I am Montag, master of illusion. What goes up must come down, but not always.
Hey, I'm Chop Top, and this one's heavy.
Dreadbull. Insert clever little tagline.
I'm Wildcard.
I'm Justin Biggs. Roll your D20 for luck. If you don't, you might meet the Canuck.
All right, screw those guys. I'm Chris from Sorcerer. So that's it.
And you are watching and listening to Heavy Metal Horror. Oh, kitties. We have a super special show tonight. We are joined by Justin and Kristian from Sorcerer. Welcome back to the show, guys. Thanks for coming on with us.
Thank you so much. We are honored to be back. We had a blast last time, so this
Fantastic.
it's going to be
So did we.
this is great.
That's wonderful. You are welcome back anytime you have time. We tonight are going to be doing our top 10 metal albums of the 2000s. That's from the year 2000 to 2009. So we got a lot to turn around. So we should start with number 10 and work our way up, if you have that kind of order. I know Vic last time put them in numerical order, chronological.
I have them in that order. I guessed correctly this time.
Excellent.
Success.
All right. Okay. So we are going to start with number 10. Let's say Chop Top. We'll just work around. We'll start with you. You wanted to start first, do your number 10, and then we'll just work around the horn.
Sure. For my number 10, I chose Overkill, Killbox 13. I think Devil by the Tail. I mean, this is a band that always has a fantastic opening song. Usually it's a burner. And then Damned is one of my all-time favorite Overkill songs. A little different stylistically. They got more out of the groove era that was going on the mid to late 90s. Kind of went back to the heavier classic sound of Overkill. I think the Sound of Dying is very underrated. Until I Die. Yeah, just a solid album overall. And I think it was the first one maybe with Derek Taylor, the black-haired guitar player in the back, rhythm guitarist, he's a beast too, along with Dave Lentz. So solid production, solid album overall. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Excellent. It's a great album. I was one I was tampering with. I thought you were going to bring it up. I'm like, I think this is going to make an appearance. So I'm gonna try and find something that's going to be a little shocking. All right, Justin, what's your number 10?
Well, I didn't put them in any order because I think these are all great records. But one album that I have to take up is first and foremost Gojira's "The Way of All Flesh," because I think that this band is just one of those bands that are they were unique. They were different when they came out, and they were just I don't know, like that album for me, it's just so loud and just in your face. Like what they were doing on that album was unlike anything I'd ever heard before. So for me, it was just, wow, this is cool. Like when you listen to the opening track, Ouroboros, it's the tapping intro and everything. Oh, man, it just, I don't know, all the feeling that you get out of that record is just fantastic. So yeah. I know that Kristian might like Gojira. I don't know, maybe.
I do. I like Gojira a lot.
No, but I mean, they're just, I mean, that record is phenomenal. And it's the one that really kind of set them on their way. You know, they had Randy Blythe on it and stuff like that. So, and The Art of Dying. Oh, what a song. It's just, I don't know, put the track listing on a wall and throw a dart. There's not like one bad song. Like if you want to pick the best song, like I said, throw a dart.
Nice.
Great.
Nice.
Excellent. Wildcard, what's your number 10?
Aura Noir's Hades Rise. I got into these guys because a buddy was touring with them, and he said, you got to come check this band out. I'd never heard of them. And so I went down to the gig and watched them. And the live show is what sealed it for me. These guys were they were classic, and their sound was fucking rad. I'd never heard of them before. They're like a Black and Thrash kind of band. And so this was the first album that I picked up by them. And maybe that's why, it's a standout track for me from their discography, but it's also, most of my releases fall like in the mid 2000s, but so if you're not familiar, I believe that the guitarist from Mayhem's in this band. So it's not his band, but he's in it. Man, a really unique sound. They play this is what they said. We play the ugliest music, and it's fucking true. Their chord structures are real bizarre and just ugly, and it's like, it's so gross, and I love it. Great song. There's a lot of standout tracks on this record for me. I see it's in black and red, so I got to move my cool shades. In order not to hold this up, but Hades Rise, the title track is probably my favorite track on it, and really just rocking and unique album. The band is unique, but this particular release is a solid one.
Excellent.
Nice.
Dreadbull.
Yeah, okay. No, I'm the same as Justin. I could throw these in any order. I love them all. So
Yeah.
you just gotta go with something. I'm gonna go 2008 Testament, Formation of Damnation. I love
Ooh, that's a good
Testament.
one.
One of
That's
my
a
all-time
good
favorite
record.
bands. Yeah, this was actually the only album they did of new music in the 2000s, but it's
That was a good
fantastic.
comeback. That sort of seemed like
Yeah.
a return to form for them.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was a great follow-up. I mean, they picked right up where they left off with The Gathering, in my opinion.
And that's a hard album to come after.
And the
You
single,
know?
more than meets the eye, the single is just
yes.
phenomenal.
Yeah, and they get Alex Skolnick back, one of my all-time favorite guitarists. I love that guy, so that can
Brilliant.
only be a good thing. Yeah, they're just full power here. It's everything Testament has ever been. Yeah, more than meets the eye. Evil has landed. The Formation of Damnation title track, Killing Season. It's all good. This album just rocks. These guys just never let up anymore. They everything they put out is just balls to the wall.
Yeah, it's
I
one
don't
of
think
those
they've
one of the few bands ever that never have released a bad album.
I agree.
Totally agree.
Mhm.
100%.
There's no bad Testament albums.
Totally agree. Yep.
Yeah.
And they're
There's-
just getting better every album they come out. It just gets heavier and better. Like, how can you be doing this 35 years after the fact? You're just getting
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
You know?
If there was a more modern Big Four, I think the Testament would be leading the herd. Like they would be like the spearhead for that.
Yeah,
movement.
I've always been an advocate of Testament being right up there with those guys. I
Mhm.
think they've always kind of gotten the short end. They're underrated.
They
in my
have,
opinion.
because they got the whole Metallica comparison when they came out. That kind of, I think, kind of crippled them a little bit in terms of popularity.
Yeah.
People just said you're just ripping Metallica off, which I don't necessarily hear that comparison, but it
No,
was
they're their
easy for
own
people
sound.
It was ehe was easy, I guess, to
Yeah, but
throw them
I
under
mean,
the
James
bus that way.
James Hetfield can't growl like Chuck Billy.
No,
I mean,
no,
right.
no.
He doesn't sound anything like Chuck Billy, and
No.
throughout Chuck Billy's career. you
And
know?
Chuck Billy sounds the same as he ever. He's
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
changed.
Stronger, maybe even.
Yeah, really. It may be a little more diverse vocally.
I'm
than
gonna admit that I wasn't a huge fan when Chuck Billy turned to death metal vocals. I liked when he
man.
kind of came back on The Gathering, like kind of it was when he kind of, I guess, maybe blended the two.
Right,
That was
right.
cool, man. Chuck
Mhm.
Billy had such a great voice in the beginning, and then when the death metal phase came, not that it was bad or anything, I just didn't prefer it. It's just like comparing. Hey, he's the same vocalist. That could have been insert any vocalist in there. Like my preference for Anthrax is Joey Belladonna. So I mean, that's I liked Chuck's singing voice, but when he figured out kind of the two, and it wasn't all death metal, and it was cool, man. He blended it well. They're a phenomenal band. They really are.
And the only album that he did that with was Demonic, and that was kind
Right,
of
correct.
an in studio decision that they ended up going with predominantly death metal vocals on that album.
Right.
Right.
They thought it sounded cool with what they were going for.
But
in that
it
particular
did.
album.
Even
I mean,
lower,
it
heavier
did, man.
sound.
Yeah,
Right,
that album
'cause I
is so
think
damn
Low-
heavy.
Low is my favorite. I mean, I think one of their best albums.
Mhm.
And that first song when it comes in like Low, it's like when you
Yeah.
first hear that chorus with his lower voice, like you take a gasp. You know, it's like, oh fuck, these guys. What did they eat for breakfast this morning? They are on it.
Yeah.
Kristian,
Okay.
your number 10.
My number 10, yeah. Well, I have to preface this with I have 2 honorable mentions that didn't make the top 10. I have actually made a top 10 list. So I have to say those 2 first. That would be Reinventing the Steel by Pantera.
Oh man.
Just because I love Pantera, and I mean,
Yeah.
it's not their best album. It's probably the worst album.
Trendkill's pretty bad.
Oh, Trendkill is awesome.
Ooh.
Trendkill is fucking awesome.
Shots fired.
You're out of the band, Justin.
Holy shit.
Sorry, you guys. None of
Wow.
it's power metal. None of it's
I'm
power
gonna have a
metal.
word with you,
I
son.
mean, in comparison to Reinventing the Steel, I liked Reinventing the Steel more than Trendkill. I would say that
Wow.
I agree. I agree.
Trendkill is their bottom
All
tier.
right. All right. But anyway, that's a honorable mention. And also, the second one for me is Diabolus Interium by Dark Funeral. That's also almost made my top 10 list because it's fucking amazing. And when I heard Emperor Magus Caligula's vocals on like the first song, you know, when it just goes like, yeah, sold. It's unbelievable. Yeah. But anyway, so number 10 for me, it's Blackwater Park by Opeth.
That also made my list.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's I'd never really heard Opeth before, and I was with Johan, actually, my brother. We went into a record store and just, you know, frolicking as you do, and something came on. They put up on the stereo, you know. It's like, what the hell is this? And at first I really didn't like it, but it was something unique about it. And then it's like, oh, I really need to check this out. I bought the album, and yeah, I mean, I couldn't pick like a favorite song. I just think the whole vibe of the album is amazing, and it's still my favorite Opeth album. I like Opeth. It's not my favorite band, but I mean, I dig them. But Blackwater Park is awesome.
Yeah, it's a stellar album. I think that's the album that really began a momentous increase in the fan base and kind of put them into a different stratosphere.
Yeah. I mean, the track Bleak is phenomenal. I mean,
I think it's all great.
You have that, and then you go into Harvest as well, which is like the softer, and there is something about Mikael. You know, he really wants to be like this kind of 70s prog rock guy, and I get that. That's his thing. That's what he wants to do initially. Like Opeth was like, when they were doing death metal and stuff, like that was kind of like, okay, well, this is the fun. We're young, we're doing our thing, but then he wanted to bring his influences to the table and do the 70s stuff. And I think Harvest was actually one of those tracks where he got to do that for the first time, and his singing, the harmonizing on the vocals on that track is just beautiful. I've always loved Opeth's vocal harmonies. They just, I don't know, they're always just top tier.
Oh yeah, it's a great band. One of my favorite bands. So my number 10, it's probably going to sound a little soft for everyone's taste after this round one. System of a Down, Toxicity.
Great album.
Yeah, it's a great album, and I like this band. It is such a unique sound, and with the harmonizing vocals, you know, songs like Chop Suey, Toxicity, Aerials. There's a huge big guitar sound. It's clean, you know, tight syncopated riffs, and just it's such a great combination of sounds that it's unusual. They really stand out with the unique vocal qualities and characteristics. And so yeah, I just like the band. I think this is their best album, and so there, my number 10.
Nice.
Yeah.
Toxicities. I mean, it's a good. That's when after that I stopped listening to them actually.
Oh, really?
I kinda
Okay.
did too.
So I didn't think they were any good after that. Like for me, it was like
By the time their third album came out, it was more the other singer, and the songs had gotten soft and completely off of what they had done before. You know.
Don't get me wrong. Like they're still talented and great musicians. Like I love what they're doing. It's not that. It's like for me, like I love like earlier Mastodon. That'll come up later in my list. But it's the same thing with like Brand Daler doing all the singing. He's the drummer, and I always liked Troy singing or Brent Hinds singing, and now it's all of a sudden Braun doing all the singing and playing drums. It's cool, but if I wanted to see the Eagles, I'd go see the Eagles. And with the System of a Down, unfortunately, it was the same thing. Like, you had this really unique voice in Serg, and then Darren Malakleon decided to come in and do all this weird screaming and stuff, and like, I don't know, they just lost me.
It
like,
works
why-
on some songs. The harmonies work on some songs.
Yeah, it's some
not
songs. Yeah,
some
but
songs.
but they were overdoing it. It's like, listen, guys, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Like, just do your thing. You guys are doing really good up until now. At least in my ears. So that's totally out of my perspective.
Excellent. All right, Chop, number 9.
All right, number 9, I have Nevermore, This Godless Endeavor.
Oh,
Very underrated band. Of course, they had the great and late Worrell Dane on vocals. And I love Sanctuary too before that. I
Yeah.
just worked with that. But I mean, this is just such a solid produced, heavy sounding album. Actually, I got this. This is an autographed copy. I met the band at Gigantor, I believe. And
nice.
Yeah, I love this album. I mean, some of my favorite songs. I think the opener, Born, is badass. Final. Yeah, well, I can't even read. I should get my glasses on. I suppose. Final Product.
Where's my glasses? Where's
my
my lemonade?
my oatmeal? Final Product, Bittersweet Feast. There's the song Psalm of Lydia. It just, still Sell My Heart for Stones, and the title track is just epic to close it out.
It's phenomenal.
Very good album.
Sentient 6 as well. I think that's the underdog on that album.
Yeah, great choice, Justin. Yeah, I should have mentioned that, but yeah, that whole album entirely, the production, the performances, songwriting, and my God, Jeff Loomis is a guitar player now with Arch Enemy.
Absolutely.
Wow,
Sure.
Fantastic. You know that he got turned down from Megadeth, right?
Yeah.
really?
When he was 16.
Mm.
Yeah.
Huh.
He was
It
really
was like
young.
it was like the Les Claypool trying out for Metallica thing. They were like, but I mean, they went on to do something great.
Yeah, I think they turned him down because he was too young. It was like he was almost like I think, and they was like, "How old are you?" I'm like 16. And they were like, "What? Get out of here, kid!"
It's like
You're
Dio
too
with-
young for heroin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not getting a
Throwing
babysitter for you.
We don't have time for school.
Yeah.
Nice.
But,
Wow.
I mean, does anybody else feel like he is totally wasted in Arch Enemy, like a wasted talent in that band?
Yep.
Yes.
I totally
Absolutely.
agree. 100%.
But that's more. Is that more of a? It's probably more of a. And not to sound rude, but that's probably more of a paycheck or something. No.
I think so.
I mean,
I-
being doing something's better than not, and they're pretty well known doing stuff. So
Sure. I mean, I guess it's a well-paying gig, but I mean, I don't think he's writing anything. I don't think. I mean,
Right, yeah,
guitar
absolutely.
solos.
I mean, it's
he's the one of the absolutely best writers in metal.
that band. He doesn't get to stretch as a
yeah,
musician.
it's Mikael Amot's band.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like
Yeah.
that's his band.
does
I
Jeff
mean,
Loomis have his own solo project though? Didn't he do something recently?
He releases solo albums, but the last one came out in 2014. So
Okay.
it's really due for another record.
And it
he's
was
got-
instrumentals as well.
Yeah, correct.
So
That's probably on the horizon.
I hope so.
And he's got the other band with Conquering Dystopia with Keith Marrow. It's also an instrumental band. And if that would have been released in like this period, that would have been my top 10 list as well. It's awesome. Have you heard it? Conquering Dystopia?
I don't think so.
No.
You know it. It's man, check it out. It's
Yeah, instrumental stuff's rad. So definitely.
It's Keith, it's Jeff, and it's Alex Webster from Cannibal Corpse, and it's got Alex Rudinger on drums. I mean, it's
Oh wow.
yeah. I mean, check it out. It's amazing.
That's like a force
Awesome.
to be reckoned with right there.
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
right.
What a band.
Yeah,
That's
the
awesome.
the production on the album, it's immaculate. It's one of my favorite productions ever. It's so fat and clear at the same time. Amazing.
Alex
Wow.
Rudiger is an alien.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
his precision and technicality is
Yeah.
it's mind blowing.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Oh, Justin, you're number 9.
My number 9. Well, if I have to pick one, I'm actually going to go a little old school here. It's 2000. I'm actually going to go with Marilyn Manson's Hollywood. For me, that was a phenomenal record. Not a bad track on it. I know there's a lot of controversy right now surrounding the band, but I don't really give a shit about that. It's not about the people. Like for me, it's about the music.
Right.
You know, we could sit here and say like how bad Michael Jackson was as a person, but you know, he wrote Beat It and all those great tracks. So I mean, you can't deny that. So
Thriller,
Marilyn
man.
Manson's
Thriller.
Hollywood for me is
Dreadbull has his whole
See
discography.
Montag?
I know. You had Thriller, right?
I did.
You did.
Of course.
yeah. I mean, where you go. I mean, Marilyn Manson was doing that thing, and you know, you had all the problems in the States with school shootings and stuff, and he was very vocal. Like it was just before he released that album, like when he said there was a reporter that asked him, you know, what would you do in this situation? He's like, I wouldn't do anything. I would just listen to the kids, you know, what they needed, because nobody listened to them. And that was that for me was just like, wow, what a superhero of a dude. And then he released this just massive album, and it's just fantastic. The lyrical content's fantastic. The music is fantastic. John 5, you know, he's not really unleashing what he can do. He's actually a really good guitar player, but he just plays kind of like basic and stuff. But what he does like rhythmically on the guitar is just fantastic. I love it. So that for me is my number 9.
Nice.
All right. Wildcard. Your number 9.
Shit. My number 9. High on Fire's Death Is This Communion. So when I got into High on Fire, I hated them. I bought Blessed Black Wings, and I was like, this just sounds like really bad Black Sabbath. I didn't have an understanding of stuff, you know, or a palate for it. And I walked into a record store and this was playing, and I was like, what the hell is this? This record is fan-fucking-tastic. And lo and behold, it was High on Fire. And then I had to make a fool of myself. This album has been really influential to me personally when writing Volcana and whatnot. And I think for me, this is probably my favorite record by the band. As you know, Matt Pike was in Sleep. This is his band. Songs like Fury Whip, Death Is This Communion, Turk. These riffs there's something special about High on Fire because they're a real messy band. And that is their signature sound. There's so many layers, there's so much shit going on, and it's just hairy and it's heavy and it's fast doom. And that's like a cool thing to me. That was unique to me. I was like, this is supposed to be like, this is like a stoner doom rock project, but it's real aggressive. So it was like, the way I perceived it was, this is a doom record if it did thrash. This is a doom band doing thrash. This is what it sounds like. And it really resonated with me. It really struck a chord with me. There's all kinds of weird stuff behind it. Like the dude that produced this, like produced Nirvana. Like what? That's weird, but no weirder than Rick Rubin producing the Beastie Boys. So yeah, that definitely clocks in at number 9 for me. That's another really special record from that era for me.
Excellent. Dreadbull, number 9.
Okay, I'm gonna go a little less obscure here, but we're gonna go 2005. Bruce Dickinson solo, "Tyranny of Souls."
Shit, that is a good one. I forgot about that.
That's a gooder. Winner, chicken dinner.
Thank you. All right. Yeah, for me, Bruce Dickinson back in the late 90s, after he left Maiden, was giving me my Maiden fix. While Maiden flailed around without him, you know, and yeah, once he got serious about his solo stuff, you know, Tattoo Millionaire was kind of fun and goofy and stuff. Skunkworks was really good, but you know, Accident of Birth and Chemical Wedding, these are all fantastic.
Right.
This might be my favorite of all of them.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, Kill Devil Hill, Navigate the Seas of the Sun, Believal, you know, Tyranny of Souls. This is a awesome album. And yeah, when I was missing Maiden, well, of course, this came out actually after he rejoined Maiden, so he was well back at that time, but I still think this was my favorite of his solo
That's with
stuff.
Adrian as well, yeah?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
See,
we were lucky enough to
band, but yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he joined was it with
Accident of Birth?
Yeah.
Accident of Birth.
Yeah, and
That's
Roy
when we-
Z's on that one too,
Right,
correct?
Roy Z, right.
He produced it and he
Yes.
played on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to see those guys in Cleveland in a small venue Me and Montag, and
In the crush.
Yeah, in
Wow.
the really claustrophobic mosh pit in that one. that was rough, but yeah,
That
we
would've
got
been
to meet.
epic.
We got to meet those guys afterwards. We went out and had a drink after, and we were walking back to our car, and their tour bus was parked out front. Big little crowd, but it was like 20, 30 people. They're like, oh, we're like, what's going on here? And like, yeah, if you want to meet the band, hang out here. And yeah, they brought us in, and we got to meet Bruce, and Adrian was there, and yeah, they're just
And
they're just all chilling.
had a drink with Adrian.
Yeah,
Nice.
Amazing. Just amazing.
Well,
Such
Did
a
you
young
throw
great,
up in his car?
flat
Did you
pack.
throw up in his car though?
that wasn't that night. So yeah, that was an awesome little experience there,
Mhm.
getting to meet Bruce.
I
Bruce was
asked Bruce what happened to Maiden after Seventh Son. You know, I had to find out. I could see his face, like he kind of rolled his eyes. He's like, well, some people in the band wanted to go to more of a hard or classic rock sound. I'm not going to name names. I'm like, well, who's left? Who makes decisions in the band? You know?
Yeah.
And because I said, man, you Seventh Son is like your pinnacle of creativity and prowess. Boom, boom. And then you're like, he's like, yeah, it was a sinking ship, and I knew it was time to leave.
Yep.
So, but I'm glad all things worked out as the way they did. You know,
I think
everyone's back together.
Kristian and I have the consensus that Somewhere in Time is their peak pinnacle.
Oh,
album.
interesting.
Great album. Great album.
Actually, I think that's no offense. I love Seventh Son and I love Maiden. I even like the Blaze stuff. But Seventh Son for me is. I'd actually rather listen.
You're off the show, Justin. God damn it, son.
Maiden is
rather-
also a sensitive topic for Paul. So
Listen, I
For me,
love that. It's okay. Tell us.
Somewhere in Time for me was like the pinnacle. Like if you wanted to see Maiden at their peak or hear them at their peak, that was like whatever they could do before or after that. That was like it was their best. That's their best
Interesting.
album. It's for me, it's like an 11 out of 10. It's
Spinal Tap
No.
moment.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. That was the tour I first saw them. Somewhere in Time.
Same here.
So yeah.
just a phenomenal album.
Excellent. Nice. All right, Kristian. Or wait, yeah, Kristian, you're number 9.
My number 9. Okay, this is going to be also like a commercial album. It's Slipknot's Iowa.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
great album.
it is a pretty great album. I had heard the first album or whatever, the self-titled one with Wait and Bleed and all that stuff, and I sort of dug it. I thought it was pretty cool. But then when Iowa came out, it was a severe ass kicking. I mean, I wasn't really into death metal or anything at that time, you know. So it was, to me, it was pretty aggressive, pretty hard. So yeah, I love that album. It's not polished at all. It's just unbridled energy and aggression. So it's an awesome album.
Nice. Like those first couple Slayer albums, you know, it's ugly,
Yeah,
but it's great.
Yeah, it's just like,
Yeah.
fuck you, you know.
Excellent. Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Ronald,
What's more metal than that?
I know. It makes me wish I had more middle fingers, you know. My number 9 is Primal Fear, 7 Seeds. You know, the couple of bands on my list are bands that we've really gotten into this year because of our interviews and things, and bands that I normally would not have listened to as much as I did in preparation, you know, for the shows. And boy, I really, really like Primal Fear. And this album, I think especially, I mean, there's a lot of good albums in this time, but it's really intense. Great riffs. I like these elevated themes, supernatural, angels, demons, you know, prophecy, these kinds of things. And I think Ralph Sheeper's voice sounds amazing. And, you know, it's just an intense, brutally fast, a lot of great double bass, heavy riffing. So yeah, Primal Fear, 7 Seals. It's definitely made my top 10 of the era.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, Chop, number 8.
Wow, number 8. I chose Arch Enemy Doomsday Machine.
oh, that's a good one.
Actually, I got this from you, Wildcard, so thank you.
Oh shit, yeah, you did. You're welcome. Thank you.
But yeah, Taking Back My Soul, Nemesis was a single off that. My Apocalypse just jams. Out for Blood, I Am Legend. This is just again, well produced, solid album overall, top to bottom, and it still has Angela Gassa on vocals, which I know there's some people prefer, Elisa White Glue's, the new singer as opposed to Angela, but I don't know. I like all versions of it, but yeah, this is just a killer album. And I remember I first got into this band with the first one with Angela.
Which is Sin.
We just said, yeah. And that's how
that's a great
band. And yeah, I've been a fan since. So yeah.
Good album.
All right. Justin.
Well, I'm also going to go down a little bit of an obscure route, as Kristian did with Slipknot's Iowa, and I'm actually going to say Mudvayne. At the end of, or how do you say it? It's hold on, the end of All Things to Come. There's also like a demo called The Beginning of the End of All Things to Come. The end of All Things to Come, because I mean, I was listening and playing bass, and this guy, Ryan, was doing stuff on the bass that I'd never seen before. It was just like, this guy's a monster. When I first saw him, he was doing like the dig thing, he had the devil horns and stuff like that. But like this album was where they kind of like perfected it. After that, they kind of digressed, but this was like their pinnacle album for me. And I think they took the new metal genre to a next level kind of thing. Like Slipknot went down the death metal road. Like they were like more extreme and very like in your face. Whereas Mudvayne was the more, the technical kind of like almost like sci-fi to a sense, like just like the more nerdy proggy stuff. And what they were doing, like in terms of, rhythms and the sound of the album was just fantastic. It has what's the single that you have, like A World So Cold, the ballad that they did, Not Falling, the single, like what he's doing on the bass on that is just
Ryan Martin.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's a freak on the bass. Just a monster.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I love Mudvayne. I think they're so underrated, and I actually prefer the album before, the LD50. That's why
LD50 is brilliant as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me that's the peak, of them. But that album is also all really cool.
I have an original copy on CD. I have the original Kill Iota.
Oh,
yeah, that's how much I liked Mudvayne back in the day. So I have all the way up until what's that? They had the single was, I think it was after this record.
Yeah.
Determined, Happy.
Happy, yeah.
Yeah. So that's that album.
Like the beige one or brown one.
Yeah, the beige brown one. But I've stopped listening to them because for me that record kind of like died down. It was too commercial. But
yeah, exactly.
The End of All Things to Come was for me like just wow.
Cool.
Great choice.
Excellent. All right, Wildcard. Number 8.
Motorhead's Inferno.
Oh, here we go.
So everybody loves Motorhead. When I bought this record, though, I was a little weary, like, oh yeah, Ace of Spades, blah blah, whatever. And again, same scenario as High on Fire, same record store chain. For those of us in Ohio, we have the Record Exchange, which is where this was playing, and I bought it. Same thing here. The manager put this on, and I said, "What the fuck is this?" And it sounds like Lemmy. I need to get this. And oh yeah, it's Inferno, and it was at this point probably a few years old at that point, but my goodness, Terminal Show, Killers. I don't know. This is one of those fucking records where I can listen to the whole thing. It ends beautifully with Whorehouse Blues. I mean, this whole thing, this is a beautiful package of Motorhead right here. And I feel like this is one of the better, this is one of my preferred Motorhead records. I know that's probably some kind of bad thing to say, but really dig this record. It's aggressive, it's heavy. But it's classic Motorhead, lyrically and sound wise. You can't. Motorhead can sound a little different, but it's Motorhead, So start to finish, this record is absolutely a staple. I play this regularly. Just cool melodies and cool riffs through and through, man. So that one definitely is one of my preferred from the 2000s.
Great choice.
One of my favorite bands of all time. I mean, it's just like the fucking attitude Motorhead brings to the stage and to their music. It's just simple, straightforward. There's nothing pretentious about it, man. It's just like Lemmy
Right.
says, we are Motorhead and we play rock and roll. It's
Exactly.
like, and
That
then just
was-
right into it, man. It's like, okay, yeah, fuck you, man. Yes, exactly.
That was his like Dee Dee Ramones, like 1, 2, 3, 4. It was like
Yeah.
that's what Lemmy said. Hey, we're Motorhead and we play rock and roll.
Exactly. Right.
Bang.
Exactly. You're just into it, like balls to the wall. Yeah, I sorely missed that band. And I think bringing in Mickey D was just such a big punch. Although Phil Taylor was great. Mickey D just kind of just ramped it up a notch. I mean, he's just
Interested
a phenomenal
to hear the new Scorpions record, just because like the first single was it was all right, but I want to hear more because I feel like he's going to bring a new layer of something to the band. I think it might kind of revitalize them a little bit.
I think it's too much power behind the throne, for the
too much power for the cloud.
I'm serious, man. It's like a Ferrari at a Yugo race. It's just, man, it's like,
I mean, I might sound biased, but I am Canadian, so I can always say like, hey, having a Swedish band member, it's not a bad thing.
I mean, it's not that as much as Mickey D, the big power drummer. Scorpions is not a power metal band. I mean, going from playing like
I think it's
Overkill.
gonna. I think it could definitely add a layer of heavy, which would be super great.
I would love to hear it.
Vocalist.
I'm excited.
I'm
If
waiting
he
for
can,
the Scorpions to get back to some kind of classic sound.
Yeah, if he can
Right.
decades.
kick up Winds of Change, that would be awesome. I want to hear him do that.
You can
So-
whistle behind the drum kit for
Oh, Dreadbull number 8, man.
All right, we're going with a Dutch band here this time around. 2009, Epica, Design Your Universe.
Okay.
I've been a fan of Epica from day one, from their first album back in 2003. Probably not a hugely popular band here in the U.S., but U.S.'s taste in music is questionable, to say the least. But for people that aren't familiar, Epica, Dutch symphonic metal, a lot of classical elements. Female lead singer Simone Simmons, opera, very operatic style, with a lot of death metal vocals mixed in from the guitarist. So you get a really cool contrast in styles there. I think this was a band that's just gotten better and better throughout the years. With every release, I think they get a little better, a little more mature and refined with their writing and stuff. They deal with a lot of lyrically some really cool high concepts ideas of religion, and this particular album deals in a lot of quantum physics, delves into like quantum physics and how they're sort of proving that we're all connected in some subatomic level, and how we can manipulate matter with our thoughts. And so they delve really deep into this kind of stuff. And but this is an album. This is strong from top to bottom. Love this album. Resigned to Surrender, Unleashed, Kingdom of Heaven is this really epic 13.5-minute, really progressive kind of track. Tides of Time is one of the most beautiful songs you'll ever hear. It is fantastic. It'll give you goosebumps. So anybody that's not checked out Epica, man, I would highly recommend. And like I said, they just get better. So all their newer stuff is some of their best stuff, in my opinion. Their newest album is actually my favorite, but that just came out earlier this year. So that couldn't make the list. But yeah, love these guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Kristian, number 8.
Number 8, it's Megadeth. The System Has Failed.
Oh,
Yeah.
That was the
Hell yeah.
that was where they started to get back to Megadeth.
Yep.
Kick the Chair is such a great fucking song, man.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, the whole album, I think it's got maybe like one bad song. The rest is just kick ass. I mean, because I mean, everybody loves Rust in Peace and Countdown maybe, and I thought Euthanasia was a great album as well. After that, Cryptic Writings and Risk and all that stuff, I was totally lost interest. And then we were on tour with Therion actually in Poland, and we did an in-store signing kind of thing in a record store, and you usually get to pick an album or an album or two for doing it. And I picked this one. I was like, okay, new Megadeth, whatever. Okay, I'll pick it. Because,
It's free.
Right.
Why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah. Right.
yeah, and everybody loves Megadeth, but I'm going to take a chance on this. And I knew that Marty had left the band, and I didn't know who was playing, and I put it on, and of course it's Chris Poland.
Yep.
Chris Poland, one of the best guitar players ever. And it's, oh man, I love that album. It's one of my favorite Megadeth albums, and yeah, it's just awesome.
Absolutely. I bought that
yeah.
like 2 days before it was released in the States, because that same record chain, The Exchange, they would release stuff early. And we got the call, like they're like, man, we got the new Megadeth record, and down there that night bought the damn thing. And
awesome.
Man, it was so nice to hear, because personally for me now, I do love cryptic writings. I actually like Risk for as poppy as it is, but I thought The World Needs a Hero was really weak. I thought the writing was weak. I thought the production was weak, and it just and then there was that whole thing where Megadeth was done. Dave Mustaine was like, the band's done. Then this album comes out, and it's like, whoa, man, they're like, dude, they're on the right track now, where we had been waiting for Metallica to do that for so long. Get back on the right track. Give the fans what they want. And Dave was doing that. That's absolutely, it is. That's a great record.
Yeah, but I mean, that was initially his solo record.
Was it?
Oh.
Yeah, it was meant to be a solo record.
Okay.
Prior to it being a Megadeth record. But
no, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, it was meant to be Dave Mustaine's. That's why it sounds so different in comparison to what he was doing. That's why I think that's why it sounds so good when he got Chris Poland on board.
And he's got Vinny Colaiuta on drums on that album. If everybody knows, Vinny played with Zappa and Sting, and I mean everybody. He's like one of the most recorded drummers in history. He's an amazing guy, like a jazz pop kind of guy.
All right, yeah.
And he plays on that album. He plays metal really good. It's unbelievable. Really cool.
I'm looking at the track listing now.
Yeah.
The track listing, I think that for me, the last two tracks, Shadow of Death, I think that's like a Bible verse that he goes through. Like,
it's like an instrumental, and he does the verse.
My Kingdom, like those two tracks for me were like, they could have ended at Of Mice and Men, but like Blackmail the Universe, like where the plane comes in. This comes in like that. It's oh man, so good.
Enough for me, the guitar playing in that one is off the charts.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Wasn't it James Lomenzo on bass as well?
Yeah.
Well,
Excellent. Oh, well, like Dreadbull's last pick, mine is a mixture of genres in an album or a group that I had never heard of, and my wife got the CD for me, and I put it in, not expecting anything, and I was kind of blown away with it, with the music and the lyrics, which were ethereal and beautiful. My number 8 is Evanescence, The Open Door. It's hard rock, and sometimes it's not metal, it's that hard rock edge, but I don't know how you can listen to Amy Lee and not be amazed at the beautiful purity of her voice. It is straightforward and simple riffing that wasn't what I was expecting. I would not have picked it out myself, but I came away going, oh, okay, this kind of opened my avenue about trying different forms of music, and that's why it's important on this list. It's like, okay, so that opened my taste up to trying other new music. So so that's my pick, number 8.
And it's one of those instances where less is more. In
Kiss,
guitar playing.
AC/DC. I mean, a lot of bands have built their entire career on that mentality, so that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, and it wasn't like repetitive or boring. It was very simple and kind of pared down to just its raw chord and riff. I mean, all good music comes down to that.
Yeah, of course.
So, all right, Chop, number 7.
Number 7. I'm going a little different route here. But one of my favorite bands of all time, progressive metal, Fate's Warning, 10. I love this album so much. Left Here, the opening track, is just haunting and hauntingly beautiful. Simple Humans, a straight ahead jammer. River Wide Ocean Deeps, another epic Fate's Warning track. And then you got Stranger, with a familiar face, and then ends with Wish, kind of a quieter song, but still hauntingly beautiful as well. So overall, very strong album in their catalog, and one of my favorite bands.
That was the last one I took off of my list. When I made my original list, I was going back and forth like, God, that's such a good album. Like, you know, right?
Somebody else is going to say it, right? So.
Yeah. Are you guys into Fate's Warning at all? Justin, Kristian, are you into Fate's Warning?
Sure.
I never got into them. No, I haven't listened so much actually.
Early
Mhm.
Fate's Warning is for me. That's where it's at. That stuff's unfuckwithable.
Unfuckwithable.
Yeah,
Good,
correct.
good word there.
There you go. That might be the name. That might be the name of the episode. It's like
I didn't coin that. Just I'm not trying to claim.
Oh,
I
okay.
did not coin that.
It's like Nat King Cole.
That's great.
Unfuckwithable. That's what you are. Oh, we scared Vic away.
Sorry.
He bailed.
Oh, no, he's really gone. All right. Well, there you go, Vic. Smell you later.
You're out.
I think
You're
his,
out for
maybe
that
his
track.
battery went out.
Out of here, buddy.
Okay. All right. So Vic, so Dreadbull, you would be next.
Number 7 for me, another band that's probably not hugely popular, Camelot. 2005, their album Black Halo. This is when I first heard these guys. I heard their single March of Mephisto. God dang it, that's a great song. That really grabbed me. I'm like, who the hell are these guys? You know. And this is their Black Halo is their 7th album. This is another band that just got progressively better with each album, and I think they really they peaked right here with this is one of those albums that everything just came together and just boom, they nailed it. And this is actually part 2. They had a 2-album, their previous album, and this one was all concept about the Faust, the play.
Yeah.
And so this continued that story. There's kind of so great album, a real emotional journey throughout. You know, this is one of those albums that you can you just sit back and throw the whole thing on, you listen to it from start to finish, and like, yeah, that's good stuff. And yeah, one of my favorite albums. These guys are great, and this was one of the, if not, was this the last album? One of the last albums with Roy Khan. Loved that dude. Great singer.
I think that is actually the last record with.
Okay,
Roy.
I couldn't remember if the next one after that was his last. I couldn't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, I really miss that guy. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, everybody's jumping on the.
Sorry,
I was going to say everybody's jumping on the Conception train, but I think Roy, if you're listening, go back to Camelot.
please. Yeah, he was so good.
Great voice.
Yeah,
Nobody
I think
wants
he
to hear
just kind of
Conception.
ended up with having some emotional, like some issues dealing with some I don't know, like depression or anxiety or something. And I think that's when he ended up just ultimately having to step away from performing, unfortunately. So hope he's doing well. I really miss him. He's, you know.
The track on that album, Abandoned, it's like a ballad.
Yes, his performance on that is.
He sings like a god on that track. That if you want to hear Roy Khan sing, like that track is one of his masterworks, and Memento Mori as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just phenomenal.
Yeah, even live, their Cold Winter's Night, I think their live album, they do that song live, and it is just stellar, man. It's goosebumps. It's so emotional and so gut wrenching. You know, it's really tugs at the heartstrings, that one. So yep.
Very, very theatrical.
Camelot, really like this band. And yeah,
thank you for mentioning it.
Absolutely.
I lost track. Justin, did you do number 8?
I didn't.
7.
Okay.
Oh, sorry for that disruption. I caused all that chaos.
We're on 7 right now.
We're on 7.
Did you do number 8 though, Justin? Did I pass you?
I did do 8. I think my 8 was Mudvayne.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought. Okay. All right. So Kristian, number 7. Yes.
It's my turn. Number 7.
Yes. Number 7.
Oh, okay. I got Hate Crew Death Roll by
Yeah.
Ooh.
That is a good one.
It is a good one. It's absolutely my favorite, the Bodom album. I've heard about them, before this album, and it was okay. I mean, brilliant playing, but the songs never really connected with me. But on this one, they really wrote some killer songs. I mean, to go along with the awesome playing,
Yeah.
And they got it together. 6 Pounder and Needle 24/7. Those 2 songs. I mean, the opening tracks.
Used to cover that Needle 24/7. That was a fun
really?
one, man. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't playing the fancy shit. I was just doing the rhythm stuff.
Okay,
but
yeah,
that was a fun song to play, man.
Yeah. I think it's a really cool album. I mean, I guess Bodom is an acquired taste, but I mean, still, it's really, I love the guitar tone, and Alex is playing amazing, and it gets a bit old with the orchestra hits,
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Dude, they were great to see live too, man.
Yeah,
what a great band
really
to see
cool.
live.
They were really
What's-
really rock and roll attitude, they were not like polished or anything. It was just like fucking let's get drunk, play fast, and just have fun.
Right.
Yep.
But Hate Crew has 6 Pounder on it, doesn't it?
Oh yeah,
Second song.
6 pounder.
Awesome song.
That track is just heavy as hell.
It is. Yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah, so that's my 7.
Nice. Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm learning so much about all these bands that I've heard and maybe heard a little bits and pieces of, but now it's like I feel
Taking
encouraged
notes.
to want to go listen to these bands. And that's one thing I love about this show so much is I've heard so much new stuff and encouraged to go find stuff that, it's easy to get into a rut and not look for things or not know what to look for. So I appreciate everyone chiming in.
Yeah, you should post these lists, that would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be wonderful. My number 7, this is another band that I saw before I had heard who knew who they were. Chop Top and I were seeing them. They opened for King Diamond. This is Nile in their darkened shrines.
Yeah.
Fucking A, man. I was just blown away. And when I heard the curtains were drawn and I heard George Colias do that double bass stuff, and I started laughing because I thought, oh, that's not real. Someone's got a fucking trigger and he's like, like that's not real. And then they came out opening up with The Blessed Dead. I'm like, oh, it was just being bludgeoned over and over again. I'm like, oh, these guys are amazing. So yeah, I love Nile, and Carl Sanders is really cool, and the band's great, and so yeah, Nile in the Darkened Shrine, The Blessed Dead, Execration Text, just brutal, relentless, and fantastic.
I had actually Annihilation of the Wicked on my list, but I just removed it. Like it's one of those.
Oh yeah, it's so good. It's so good. All right, Chop, number 6.
I might get a little flack for this, but it's my list, so damn it, I'm going to say it.
That's right.
This is more commercial, kind of, as they progress. But Metallica's Death Magnetic.
Wasn't bad, man. That was a good.
That was on my long list. It was.
I just thought coming, from the horrible, atrocious Saint Anger, which I absolutely despise that piece of shit. But I think this kind of came full circle, almost back to the sound that everybody has wanted.
Yeah.
Oh, Chop, just James Hetfield's coming on next week. I didn't tell you about that. So
Yeah, he already agreed.
Dude,
I love everything you do. No.
I feel like it was Death Magnetic had a lot of the what sounded like unused and Justice material on it.
That's a great call.
I feel like there was probably some leftover stuff that they utilized on that album, which made it probably why we probably think it's so good is because Saint Anger was before it. I mean, you really can't.
Well, and Reload and Load.
No, man, Load and Reload are great rock records. They are great rock records.
But they're not Metallica records. Not great Metallica records.
You're not going to change the branding.
Lost all interest in Metallica after Black Album. Or once that came out, like, and Justice for All was their pinnacle for me, and then but Death Magnetic's a good record.
Yeah, it's good.
But anyway,
that's a huge argument, Metallica.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's a whole
that's a big argument.
You guys can go and read my reviews of the Metallica albums on my Facebook. I did.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
And you're not chiming in here. Interesting.
You guys can go and.
You've already said it all.
Kristian's chimed in on a few, and I did a review of all the albums. So I did Metallica, Megadeth, Iron Maiden, and a few more bands. But I did their entire discography.
Wow. Nice.
Album for album.
Oh, nice.
So you can go over and read what I.
Gonna be some deep hurting.
Our early shows were like that. We did the bottoms up where we did a whole discography.
Yeah, I liked Death Magnetic actually. It was
it's good.
Better than Saint Anger. So
that needed to be on the hype sticker. That was the hype sticker right there. It's better than Saint Anger. There you go.
I do like that he's channeling Glenn Danzig on that album. Though.
Yeah.
Saint Anger. You know. Oh, excellent. All right, Chop. Thank you very much. Okay, Justin, number 6.
Number 6. Well, I'm gonna have to go with one of my all-time favorite bands in the universe, Iron Maiden, Brave New World, 2000.
Excellent.
The comeback of all comebacks, the one that we all wanted.
Yes.
You know, at that time, nobody wanted to hear Ozzy go back with Sabbath. Nobody wanted to hear Halford go back with Priest. It was when Bruce Dickinson said, "Not only am I coming back, but Adrian Smith is coming back," and it was like, "Oh my god." Oh my god.
3 guitar players. Who are you? Leatherwolf? What's going on?
Well, I mean, there are actually 2 guitar players and one
Show
guy
me.
that
Guitar
throws one
dancer.
around.
Guitar dancer. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
I
what
would
I
say
want to be.
To be fair, he's gotten much better. I think
Yes,
his time alone.
yes.
I think his time with Adrian's with Dave Murray helped him become a better guitarist. And when Smith
Well,
came
yeah,
back in,
you have somebody
you know,
smiling at you that much.
yeah.
You're going to be a better player.
he's
And
a
maybe-
lot better, a lot cleaner. He's still sloppy, which I kind of like, but you know, and he's a decent songwriter. He's got some good songs, but yes, when he first saw them, it was just like, you know,
Yeah. But I mean, I think that maybe Adrian's giving him guitar lessons behind the scenes. But,
depend.
but,
Well, I knew when I talked to him on the first time I met them, it was I had just seen him on Bruce's solo tour. Was it the
Tattooed
Son of-
Millionaire?
No, yeah, Tattooed Millionaire. And so I asked him, I said, well, you know, I saw you on Bruce's tour. How long have you had between touring, you know, with Bruce and then Maiden, you know, this tour? He said 3 days. And I'm like, oh, and I didn't say it out loud. I'm like, oh, that's why you don't play the solos. I mean, you got 3 days. You know, you can't.
Yeah, but
you can't.
he's teaching everybody how to high kick and do cool shit with their guitars. So
and
it's a
and
good
throw the
trade-off.
guitars really
It's
high.
a trade-off,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
It's a good trade-off.
I mean, I wish he'd put his solid gold dancer days behind him, but you know, we'll forget it.
I like
He's
it.
like a marionette on the guitar.
But I mean, if you listen to the tracks that aren't the obvious ones, a lot of people go for like the Wicker Man, they go for Blood Brothers, the title track, Brave New World. I like Ghost of Navigator.
Yes.
I like
love that song.
my favorite track off the album is the album version of Out of the Silent Planet. I love Dream of Mirrors. The Nomad is fantastic.
Mhm.
The thin line between love and hate is also a great closer. I mean, there's really just a lot happening on that album. And I think is one of their best releases, to be honest. It
Oh, it's a
was
solid
just
record.
the
Fact.
comeback of comebacks.
Yeah. And live, those songs sound even better. I know he's like the album version of that, but like on Rock and Rio, I think
Yeah.
all those songs just sound amazing.
Yeah.
Ghost of the Navigator is my favorite on that album. It just sounds like a Maiden. It's got that feel, man. Hit you right in the gut, you know. And
Yep.
shades of the Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, you know, those kinds of things. But it's a different sound. It's just
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool that it's taking like like you're getting like the 2 like kind of integral people back into the band. So you're gonna get that revamped Iron Maiden, what they were, and then you have like what they were doing in the 90s, whatever you want to call it, Iron Maiden, I guess. And just kind of like colliding with Bruce Dickinson solo stuff, and we get this like mishmash, and that's what Brave New World is. It's just like finally they're agreeing, like, we can write together. We don't have to bump heads. We can write together. We can do things together. It's give and take, Steve.
Yeah,
Right.
Steve, we're talking to you, Steve.
Steve.
Yeah. We're talking to you, Steve.
Well, wait till he comes on the show. He's gonna be listening to this record. He's like, you guys are a bunch of cunts, you know. listen to this show. Yeah, the Vic Wildcard.
Then you can just show him British Lion, the first album, and be like, hey,
Oh,
what is
man.
that?
Shots
Oh.
fired. Love it. Love it.
This is great. This is great. Oh, all right, wonderful, Thank you. Okay, so Wildcard, what is your number 6?
Annihilator's Carnival Diablos. To me, this record was Annihilator. Like, it was they stepped up a whole new level for them. because they did the whole getting back together. Like their comeback record was Criteria for a Black Widow, had Randy Rampage on it. And that didn't last long because I don't know, there was issues with Randy and whatever, but this fucking record, this is super influential to me. Probably my favorite guitar tone of all time. Still can't figure it out. It's taken me 15 years of studying, and I know all the pieces, parts in it, can't figure it out. Jeff Waters is just a tight secret. He won't talk about it. But they got Joe Comeau, which if you know the name, did a stint with Liege Lord and also played guitar for Overkill prior to doing this record. And he's on vocals in this record and just gave the band a whole different vibe, man. Perfect Virus and the title track. And Jeff Waters is a huge AC/DC fan. Throws an AC/DC song on here that's an Annihilator song. Annihilator playing their version. It's not a cover. The song's called Shallow Grave. It's just an AC/DC song played by a thrash band. It's fucking fantastic. Hunter Killer, Epic of War. Jeff Waters' instrumentals are massively influenced me. It's probably why I put instrumentals on damn near every release I put out. Liquid Oval. I think Liquid Oval might have played at my wedding. I think I had it on the wedding plate. So Annihilator is a massively influential band to me. But this particular record, oh my goodness, this is untouchable, man. This record is one of my favorite Annihilator releases. Definitely a highlight from their career. And probably was one of the first Annihilator records I bought. I bought I think the first one was when who was it? Roadrunner was doing the Two from the Vault series. And I picked up Alice in Hell and Never Neverland as probably my first one, but then this was like a close third or fourth that I picked up, and super stoked that I got that because that album is, man, Jeff, what the fuck guitar tone is that, bro? I really want that guitar tone so bad. I just want to play and have it sound like that. It's real just crunchy and aggressive. Love it. Fucking love that record.
It's witchcraft.
Ask me for a friend.
That's
It is.
Nice. Excellent. Kristian, your number 6.
My number 6, that would be Crooks, number 2, the second album by Crooks.
Nice.
You know those guys? Jeff Leif Edling's band?
No,
You don't know it?
I do not.
An all-star band.
I don't even know how to spell it.
Yeah.
Krux.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah.
Crooks.
Crooks.
So good.
Yeah,
Heard of them, but not familiar.
It's Leif Edling, and he brought in Mats Levén on vocals, and he's got Fredrik Åkesson, who now plays in Opeth on guitar, and Jürgen from Grave on guitar, I think.
Yeah.
Flinta from back then, he played with Entombed, I think, on drums. I mean, all-star lineup, playing Doom, Mats on vocals. I mean, you could pick. They released 3 albums. I could pick either one of them, but the second one is my favorite. The red one with like a dead person on it, skull thingy. Yeah. If you haven't heard it, check it out. I mean, I love Leif Edling. For me, Leif Edling is like, the best writer in metal. Maybe Steve Harris, in his golden years, but when it comes to like really heavy stuff, Leif Edling is the man.
I can agree with that. Like, I think he's the best Swedish heavy metal songwriter. Yeah. Period.
Or no.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
That's
Okay.
excellent. Another new band to look up.
Another
Thank
one.
you.
For sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. My number 6 takes a venture into some heavy prog. I know it's Dreadbull's favorite band. This is Dream Theater, 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence. I like Dream Theater. Their music that is just it's like Rush on steroids. They're following through the traditions of King Crimson and Yes, and bringing all this prog rock. But Class Prison, Misunderstood, The Great Debate. I think it's a solid album, big album, and it's not as heavy as some of their later, more recent offerings, but it's still a great effort from a really solid band. I mean, you can't love them or hate them. I know some people don't get into the prog thing, but I think they cover all genres of metal and prog, and can bring in these classical elements as well, and do ballads, which I'm really not crazy about ballads, but they can still do a good ballad. So Dream Theater, 6 Degrees for number 6.
They're great at whatever they decide to do.
They've been pretty consistent.
Oh, a shrug. We got a shrug there when I said that.
except the astonishing. So, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we haven't done our
We haven't done our thing.
haven't done our deep dive into
You
Dream
shut the
Theater,
hell
just-
up, Chop Chop.
All right. Well, number 5,
Hold up.
Chop. Oh,
I didn't get my 6 in, and
sorry.
so yeah.
Sorry, Dread.
And this is kind of playing off of Dream Theater. This is kind of a hidden gem, so I'd like to get it in here. For me, James LaBrie, his one of his solo albums. He did Mole Muzzler, a couple songs with a band called Mole Muzzler, or a couple albums, which were okay, kind of a little not as heavy. But his first under James LaBrie, Elements of Persuasion in 2005. It's such a good album. I mean, it's kind of, I guess maybe just because he's the vocalist, reminiscent of Dream Theater, but it's a much more boiled down hard rock, heavy metal sound with elements of kind of techno kind of mixed in, but just
Industrial
musically
a little bit, maybe. Yeah.
yeah. Right, maybe a little more industrial, because techno maybe sounds a little like it's a little lighter. It's a pretty heavy album, but there's some good ballads in here. Just very strong songwriting, top to bottom. Great, not a bad track on this album. James mentioned some influences at the time were like Mudvayne, Meshuggah, Linkin Park, Seven Dusts. So you can kind of hear those influences definitely sprinkled in here. It's not a ripoff by any means. Crucify, Alone, Undecided, Pretender, just strong, powerful, great album. So yeah, if you haven't listened to this, man, do yourself a favor.
Great choice.
Yeah, I think it has Marcos Fogli on it, right? Playing guitar.
Yes, it does. And Mike Mangini actually plays the drums on this.
Oh wow.
As well. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yes, Mangini is on here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Marco is absolutely one of my favorite guitar players. That dude is so talented. I mean, his melodic,
Yeah.
Yeah. So tasteful. It's like Petrucci and like all those guys on, like you said, on stereos. Like it's like the perfect mix.
Yeah.
Between all those guys. He's got a lot of Petrucci in him, Andy Timmons, and some other influences. Yeah, awesome player. Fantastic.
Have you checked this album out?
Of course.
Yeah,
I
great
think
stuff.
I think actually, I mean, I'm not gonna get into Dream Theater and what I think, about their recent output, but I love the early stuff. But I really like James's soul albums. I really dig them. I think they're really good. I think for me personally, they're better than the Dream Theater albums that are coming out.
Wow. Okay.
But
Okay, you're out. Sorry.
We already know. We already know what I think about Dream Theater.
All right. Well, Kristian.
But to me, I have to just say, I mean, Images and Words for me, it's like top 3 albums of all time. So
Nice.
Yeah. Well, what is your number? What are we on? Number 6.
No,
Number
5.
We're going to go 5. We're on number 5. I can't keep track. Well, as soon as when Vic went out, everyone got rearranged. So I wrote down an order.
sorry.
It's okay. I was just like keeping it visual. Like, okay,
Can't you
I-
drag everybody to the right position here on the screen?
I just wrote it down. I think I know what's going on now. I wrote down now. Like, okay, so I know.
All right.
So we're on number 5, and we're going to start with Chop Top. Correct. All right.
Yep.
Then we're going to go to Justin, then Vic, then Dread, then Kristian, and me. I think that's the order. Okay, Chop.
Number
Bring us number 5.
Dio, Killing the Dragon.
yes.
He's reunited with Jimmy Bain on this. Doug Aldrich, one of my favorite guitar players of all time. It's like his style and everything. And then I mean the title track Along Comes a Spider, Scream, Better in the Dark. There's not a bad track on this whole album. It's solid.
Man, I gotta listen to Along Comes a Spider. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, such a maybe I don't know, underappreciated gem in the catalog. I think it goes unnoticed a lot, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, it's just a true return to form of the Dio that we love and everything, and just a solid release in that decade for him. So, yep, Killing the Dragon.
I totally agree. I had it on my like the 20 best. It was on there, and I was like, I gotta get rid of it. Dog Aldrich, man, Dog, what a guy.
Yeah. I always start with a
Love
long
him.
list, like 25 or 30. I'm like, okay, how the hell am I going to get this down to 10? Right. Yes, I get it. All right, Justin, number 5.
I'm actually going to go with a non-metal record here. And this album actually means a lot to me. I saw the tour, and it was one of the most epic tours I ever saw. It's actually David Gilmour's On an Island. I think that his guitar work is just. I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan. I love Pink Floyd. My favorite album of all time is Animals. I love David Gilmour's playing. It's just feeling. That's all there is to it. You can't deny that when he bends, it's just like you feel it. It's
very
it's
passionate.
that epic.
Yeah.
Yes.
And even though the album for me is it's tranquil, I listened to it a lot. Actually, it was one of those things like I was discovering so many new metal bands and stuff like that, and it was always like just this pounding, like double bass drums, and it was nice to just kind of like take a step back, put David Gilmour on, have a listen, and just get lost in tranquility. And on that tour, he had a guest just before he passed away, Mr. Richard Wright. And as an encore, they played Echoes.
Oh, nice.
So I saw Echoes live with both singers.
That's awesome.
Oh,
So
cool.
for me, that was like I was almost in tears. I was just totally blown away.
Was that a surprise to everyone, or did you know that?
It was a
going in?
surprise. We were at the Toronto Opera House, I believe it was, and they played a few Floyd tracks, and he played. Richard Wright actually played keyboards like the whole gig, but he really kind of came out on the Pink Floyd tracks. So I think they played. I believe they did One of These Days, Echoes. And I can't Comfortably Numb. They did, of course, but I think they did One of These Days. But I'm not too sure. I was so taken back by Echoes that I couldn't believe that they played it. So
Yeah, that's
but
awesome.
for me, that's just like David Gilmour. I mean, he's one of those guys that's influenced so many metal players as well. So I mean, playing both in standard and in drop tunings as well, like the Walls, like half and half drop tuning and stuff like that. So. Just a phenomenal guitar player. So for me, that's my number 5.
Nice.
Great.
Vic, they're number 5.
Brothers of Conquest, All the Colors of Darkness. Brothers of Conquest is a band featuring Adam Neal. Adam Neal is in the Hookers and is in Savage Master. This album I found at a record store, like in the discount bin, like in the used section. They had the budget bin at the Exchange, and I don't know, something about the album cover kind of reminded me of like Darkness Descends. It's got like that same weird color saturation thing going on, hand coming out of the ground. So I grabbed it, not really knowing what to expect. And this album has grown on me so much over the years. It's like Leonard Skinner on meth. It's like Southern rock, and it's all about like horror movies and shit. But the songs are catchy as fuck. Adam's voice is freakishly unique, like to the point to where some people probably can't pilot it. But it's like when you listen to this album, you start hearing it, you can't hear it any other way. It's so fucking unique and honest. And it really brings the music to a whole different level. And the choruses are all cool, and it's a hairy Southern rock metal record. I mean, it is a metal record, but if you ran Southern rock through the metal machine, it's really heavy. And like I said, the choruses are all fucking cool, and man, really, it was super cool. I was in a band called Vandalist that opened for Savage Master and High Spirits. And so I got to meet him, and it was so cool walking up to him, being like, "Oh man, I listened to Brothers of Conquest on the way here," and he's so friendly. He's a classic Southern guy who will say, "My pleasure" after things, and it was cool meeting him, man. Super cool guy, great band. I'm sure none of you guys have heard of that band. Probably none of the other that Adam Neal's involved with, but it's an album that I highly recommend checking out. It's an album that I had to get when I found out there was a vinyl pressing, went out of my way to find copies, like this is a thing that has to happen. It's if I like a record enough, I will buy it on vinyl. It has to be in my vinyl collection. I was fortunate enough to discover that it was on vinyl and get a copy. So from Adam Neal himself, he actually mailed me a copy. He was like, "I've got a spare one here." Super awesome. Great.
Nice.
Cool.
Great story too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Excellent. Dreadbull, number 5.
All right, we're going to go back mainstream here a bit. 2009, Queensryche, American Soldier. Really love this album. This kind of came at a time where, Queensryche's popularity was kind of waning, I think, with like Here and the Now, Frontier, and Tribe. We kind of talked about this when we did our rankings of Queensryche stuff, but this album kind of jumps out as this is so emotional. This album, the emotional impact, it's just a gut punch, exploring sort of all these difficulties that soldiers deal with in war, and the horrors of war, as well as leaving their families for long periods of time. And it's just, I can't get through this album without being moved to tears, honestly. And for that reason, I don't listen to it a ton, because I know what it's going to do to me every time I listen to it. And hey, that's the mark of a great album, in my opinion. So just a great and a standout album, I think, for Queensryche in a time where they were maybe struggling a little bit. So one of my faves, though.
Cool.
Yeah, Chop and I saw them on that tour, and when they played Coming Home Again?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, there was not a dry eye in the house. I mean, everybody is sobbing their eyes out. I'm not crying, you're crying, and the whole place, because we were just talking like, I hope they don't play Home. Like, I know we're gonna just bawl out, start bawling. And especially when his daughter came out, and she sang, I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, there we go. It was just waterworks. But yeah, it's a hard album to listen to. It's an important album. It's like watching Saving Private Ryan or something. It is necessary, but it is a gut punch every time. So yeah, good album. All right, thank you, Dread. Kristian, number 5.
Number 5 would be Strapping Young Lad, Alien. One of my favorite bands of all time. I think City is also in my top 3 metal albums of all time. And then they did the one that's only called Strapping Young Lad, I think, the red one with the feather on it, which was quite a disappointment from City. But then they returned with Alien. I actually saw them on the tour with that Strapping Young Lad tour, with the self-titled one, with Zimmer's Hole opening.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
One of my favorite bands. I mean, also one of my favorite records, Bound by Fire. Come on.
Yeah.
You know that one?
Yeah. I'm not. I know the name, and I remember them around that time period. But it wasn't something that I dove into. I need to. It's been something that I've been putting off.
I mean, yeah, it's a comedy sort of metal, but it's awesome. It's very toilet humor,
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it. The CD, when you have the CD tray, you remove the CD, and yeah, that's Zimmer's Hole. That's an anus right there.
Nice. I can see now the next Sorcerer album. Yes, I can see it in my future.
It'll just be a photocopy of Kristian's butt.
Yeah, yes. Name that hole. There's the album.
The witch's anus.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Anyway, but I'm digressing. But anyway, Alien for me, that's one of it's awesome. Second best to City, so it definitely belongs on this list for me.
Excellent, nice.
And Devin Townsend looks like an absolute lunatic when he was with
He
Strapping
is so
Young Lad.
Phenomenal, though. What a freakishly talented person, man.
Was that like receding hairline with the long hair?
He had the
This looks
skull,
like
man.
a nut.
He had the Hulkamania haircut.
Yeah.
I love that guy, though. He's so unique, and probably a lot of that toilet humor was driven by him. I would guess.
Could be.
I'll never forget his intro to the Ziltoid.
Yeah.
Ziltoid, what is it? Ziltoid the Omniscient or
Omniscient,
and it's just Ziltoid dancing in front of like a green screen, and it's going penis, penis for like 10 minutes. It's like, what?
Yeah. March of the Poozers is great. It's got the Zilt, it's like, I don't know where he gets this shit, but it's great. So hilarious.
I don't know. It's thankfully, he's Canadian, so that's cool.
Such a cool guy. God, I'd love to get him on the show to talk to him. He's interesting.
Let's
dude.
invite him. All we can do is invite him.
Wow,
that's
dude.
great. Oh wow. Well, that's good. That's a good pick there, Kristian. My number 5 is Slayer. God Hates Us All. Slayer's been more missed than hits recently. But the God Hates Us All is I think a really strong album. It's so angry and aggressive and full of hating religion, which is as Justin and I have been talking, it's kind of right in my wheelhouse. But we saw this tour. I know Chop Top and I went to see this. I don't think you went with us, Dreadbull, did you? I don't think so. I think no, it was our friend Chris. Yeah, I think Chris sure went with us. And yeah, and that was just the first like 5 minutes. It was just smoke. You couldn't see the band because it was smoke and then lights were behind him. So it was just these shadows being broadcast. And then it went to this like strobe light effect. And I thought, fuck, I'm going to have a seizure, because it was just relentless during Disciple. Just this barrage of strobing. I'm like, oh my God. But yeah, this is a great album. Disciple, New Faith, Threshold, Bloodline. And, I'm a Slayer fan from way back. So this was a refreshing change of hate for them from 2001. My number 5.
Excellent.
Good album.
Yeah. All right, Chop, number 4.
My number 4 happens to be God Hates Us All.
There we go.
So excellent. I mean, yeah, everything you said about it, I think a very hilarious and very heavy song is Payback, the ending song.
Oh yeah.
Payback's a bitch, motherfucker.
That's right. Yes.
Awesome. But yeah, that album was a fine return to form of the Slayer that we missed post probably Divine Intervention. There was a kind of a window there, and definitely stronger than Diabolus and Musica. So everything you said, Montag, yeah, number 4. So
yeah, they got into that groove metal phase for a little while with Kerry King's influence, and because Raya wasn't really writing songs anymore, and I said, man, come on, start writing songs about serial killers. There's got to be a few more out there that you haven't written about. Do something, get high and write about serial killers. That's what he said he liked to do. That's what he said he liked to do. I'm like, come on, man. If you need some fucking pot, we'll get you some. Just like we talked with Eric Wagner, we'll get you some pot, man.
Write about murders. That's your thing. Do your thing.
Yeah,
exactly. Right. Excellent. Good choice.
Going
there.
soft.
Yeah. Justin, number 4.
Mastodon, Blood Mountain. Love that album. Mastodon's one of those bands that's just like I said, I busted a bit, their balls and stuff like that about the drummer singing, but he does have a good voice and stuff like that. It's when he sings well. But on this record, this is the Mastodon that I know and love, and it was Brent and Troy singing on it, and it's just a non-stop barrage of just eargasm, crazy music. I just love it. Not a bad track on it, and I just get lost in the vibe every time. It's one of those albums that I can put on and I don't realize that the time's gone.
Great.
So,
Excellent. Nice. Vic, number 4.
So it's Brave New World. It's Iron Maiden's Brave New World. Justin said all the stuff already, but I disagree with him. I am the guy who wants the Wicker Man. That's Iron Maiden to me. And this album ruined Iron Maiden for me because since this record, they're just real slow and proggy now. This is the Iron Maiden I want to hear. This was Iron Maiden coming back to Iron Maiden. There's Fast Maiden on here. That's what I want, Iron Maiden. I want Fast Maiden. I don't want Sleepy Maiden. I want Fast Maiden.
but
Everything
Vic,
was this fucking record is great, man. Every fucking song on this record is great. Every song. I can put this on. I can sing every chorus with this record. This is one of those, throw something at it and it sticks to your favorite song. That's this record. This is such a great fucking album. And I had so much high hopes. And then Dance of Death came out, and I was like, this is a good record, but it's like all the songs that I don't like as much. And they just kept doing that. So this album for me, this is Iron. Now, the only thing that's wrong is it's the trimmed Maiden logo. If they would have brought back the pointy logo, it would have been 100% awesome. It's my only complaint with the record is that it's got the trimmed logo, but love that album. Absolutely love that album. And I think that it's, probably one of my favorite Iron Maiden records for sure. But all of it was there. Classic Maiden sound was there, and I absolutely adore it. Love it.
I guess you must be illiterate because you haven't read the writing on the wall.
True.
Well, with that, Dreadbull, you're number 4.
Okay, well, I'm going to stay on theme here. We're staying with Maiden. For me, though, it's a matter of life and death.
Oh, yes.
I mean, in my opinion, this is the pinnacle of the modern Maiden era. I like this album better than Brave New World.
Comes in
Groans ensue.
Vic's passing a stone.
in case you're not illiterate, it does come in Braille.
Yeah,
He keeps coming with him. He keeps coming with him, that one.
The first couple tracks on this album were kind of so, but man, when they jumped into Brighter Than a Thousand Suns, that's when this album takes off. I think this just has the energy of old Maiden. There's something about it, you know. Longest Day is one of the most powerful songs they've ever written, a real classic Maiden type of song. That cool slow intro. I could picture this, you know, opening a concert for them.
I do love the artwork.
Explosions.
I do love the artwork. I think the artwork is the best modern Maiden artwork. Is Matter of Life and Death. That artwork was super cool because they really have just a slew of horrendous album arts.
But
recently,
the tour was what made, like, everybody bashed them for playing this album in its entirety live. But now every band is doing that nowadays.
Yeah.
And it's like, why did you give Maiden shit for it back in the day?
Yeah.
It's like, come on. Like, it's a great album. Like, Lord of Light, phenomenal track.
Yeah. The
wow.
Legacy, great, cool.
Yeah.
Really cool progressive kind of track. Reincarnation of Benjamin Brieg, a really cool, great groove to that song. Yeah, I think this album would have been perfectly at home as a follow-up to Seventh Son, you know, and it would have just been a continuum of Maiden greatness, or maybe after, you know, Somewhere in Time instead. If you adjust it. So, yeah, absolutely.
So long as it's not the Final Frontier. That's the only record that I'm kind of on the fence about.
Yeah. So. I got to give that one a fair shot, because literally after A Matter of Life and Death, I stopped and I listened to half a Book of Souls and fell asleep, and that's where I am.
Wow.
Bring out your pitchforks and torches, folks.
Or just show up for the Vindicator.
Yeah, right. I know you guys ain't got nothing nice to say to me anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and say what I want to say, damn it.
That's right.
Yeah, because we're going to roast your ass at that one, buddy. So,
wish I had that half hour back, right? That kind of thing, Fred. All right, Kristian, you're number 4.
Yeah, probably the least metal album on this list, but or my top 10 list. It's going to be Tool, 10,000 Days. Yeah, pretty cool album. I think it's their best album, actually. I mean, a lot of people prefer, Lateralis and maybe the Undertow, whatever. But I think 10,000 Days, I mean, the production and just the songwriting that's the Tool that I really love. I mean, I love Enema as well, but in terms of production, I just think this one, the crisp guitar tone, and there's just some moments, the part, there's some moments on this album which are just magical for me. So yeah. On the top 10 list.
Great album. Tool's a great band. You know, they're a band that deserves attention. You got to listen to them, you know, purposely. And
Enema's a great record as well.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
If we were talking about like the 90s, Enema would be pretty high.
Fantastic band. Sure. Now, my number 4. This is going to scare Dreadbull a little bit. My number 4 is also A Matter of Life and Death. We lined up Dreadbull. I know. We finally had some taste. I just love this record as well, and for all those same reasons. You know, Legacy is a great finisher, and For the Greater Good of God has that amazing chorus. It was full on prog, and they've kind of been there since. I don't have the prog problem like Vic does, but I kind of like Final Frontier. There's some songs on Final Frontier that I like, not all of it, but there's some interesting tracks that, again, they kind of push it even further into that prog realm. But yeah, my number 4, A Matter of Life and Death. So Chop, number 3.
Well, my number 3 happens to be A Matter of Life and Death.
Oh man,
look at that!
Oh man, I'm leaving.
It's about time. Is that all we had to do?
Everything you guys already said, Montag, Dread. what can be said more about it. So definitely a worthy top 3 status out of 2000s for me.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. Vic, bring your number 3, man.
Not me, man. It's not my turn yet, bro. It's Justin's turn.
Justin.
Oh, sorry.
My
Justin.
turn.
Oh, sorry.
My number 3 happens to be a matter of no. I'm just kidding.
Oh man.
No.
A matter of fuck you.
No. My number 3 happens to be Candlemass, King of Grey Islands.
All right.
From 2007. It showcases the band and masterful songwriting, and Robert Lowe on vocals. He's just delivering a magical performance on the vocals, and I think it has one of their best tracks in their entire discography, Embracing the Sticks. It is the single most best closing track on a Candlemass album, period. It doesn't get any better than that for me personally. Like I can attest to Epicus, Doomicus, Metallicus, and Nightfall being 2 solid great albums, but in terms of like picking out an ending track just solely for a track by track basis, that would win. That would take the cake. It's fantastic. That's just one of the best songs ever. I love that track. So King of Grey Islands, Candlemass, number 3.
Yeah, definitely
Nice.
definitely the best later era Candlemass album, no question.
Interesting.
Nice. Excellent. Yeah, Candlemass is a great band.
Absolutely.
Okay, now Vic.
Yeah, now it's my turn. I hope that there's no inner scene conflict with Justin and Kristian, but my number 3 is Wolf's The Black Flame.
There you go.
This album, oh man, this is my favorite Wolf record. I love the color scheme, the black logo, and every song on it. Absolute ripper. My wife and I listen to this all the time, and it's one of those albums that is played, multiple times in our household every year. When you got, several thousand records, it's like you find yourself coming back to certain records, and that's one of them that absolutely does it for me. Fucking love that record, start to finish.
Excellent band.
Nice.
Yeah. And thanks to them, I got to see your guys' set. So now, see, a roundabout way.
Excellent.
Here you go. Shameful plugging, Saw that band,
Who's this?
What is this,
Sure.
Justin?
The
Please
record
tell
of
us.
Lamenting the Innocent, out now. Metal Blade Records. Go out and buy one.
Who's that band?
Wow, nice. The
Another
scary
obscure
priest.
European band. Oh,
Yeah.
Do you get like multiple?
that
Do you
down.
keep multiple copies? Do you keep one sealed and you have an open one for play? This is
I
a side
have,
story.
I actually have all the vinyls in all the different colors, and only for the bands, we get a limited edition. There's only 7 pressed.
Oh wow.
And they're
Fancy
slime,
pants.
That's cool.
they're slime vinyls, and they were bloody expensive, but we each got one, and I have that, and it's heavy as well. It's like a huge, thick, like it was like a
Like
really
180
weird, when I got
gram,
it, I was like,
or
I
is
have
it like
no
180,
idea.
180 grams or something? That's
but
one
it's-
of the heavy.
It's because there's liquid in it, so it looks like
Oh
slime.
shit! Yeah, okay.
Oh.
I've seen a few records with that. Yeah.
Oh my,
awesome.
that's awesome.
So we have 7 of those printed or pressed, but
Yeah. Do you
Those are
keep them
sealed.
sealed, or do you have any of them opened, or just out of curiosity?
I keep them sealed.
Cool. Yeah.
I mean,
why,
I've heard it.
Right. You have the the music, so that's cool, man. No, sorry to derail it. Just was curious.
No,
Oh, nice.
Kristian,
One of you
open
crazy
some-
heavy metal horror listeners is going to win
Yeah.
one of Sorcerer's new albums.
yeah. Hey guys,
Hey, third caller is going to get
listen
Sorcerer.
to that. Whoa!
Only 7 made in the world.
Extreme close up.
Call now.
That's right. 1-866-666 and 6s again. Sorcerer.
Get your
Nice.
copy now.
Oh, nice. Okay, Dread.
Okay.
Number three.
yeah. Another probably a fairly obscure band, at least here in the States, and they deserve more credit. Arion, the Human Equation, 2004. Yeah, Arjun Lucas. I say band, but it's kind of a one-man band. Arjun Lucasen and I apologize for the
Bathory were a band and
The-
they were a one-man band. So don't feel bad about that.
yeah. But yeah, this guy does all the writing, all the composing, producing. He plays multiple instruments. But yeah, for people that aren't familiar with Arion, he puts out these epic 2-album, usually it's a 2-disc set, concept albums. Most of his stuff is all in this like same science fiction universe, but he'll have all these characters. In this particular album, The Human Equation is about this guy that gets in a car crash. He's in a coma, and the whole album he spends in this coma with his emotions and his memories, and he's like kind of a life review almost sort of thing. And so every emotion that he's feeling and trying to process through is voiced by a different vocalist. So that's what he does on every album, brings in vocalists to cover different characters on his albums.
Oh,
And he's
that's cool. That's
had
cool.
everybody
Yeah.
from Bruce Dickinson to James LaBrie is actually the main character in this on this album. Dee Snider, Devin Townsend, is a massive list of vocalists.
Interesting.
And, yeah, this is such a cool album, and this guy is
Stuff.
very, very progressive. Lots of different. You go from death metal to disco influence on some moments. Not so much. This is one of his heavier albums, so. But you know, throughout some of his other stuff, is you just never know what you're going to get. Folk music influences. And yeah, this is just an absolute masterpiece, this album. I've listened to this thing so many times, and it is strong top to bottom. Yeah, so 2-disc set, you'll love it. It's an emotional journey going through
I'll
this
check
whole
it out.
thing.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent.
It's
Excellent.
fantastic. Mhm.
All right, Kristian, number 3.
Number 3, I think it was Chop Top who had Nevermore on his list. And my number 3 is Zero Order Phase, Jeff Loomis' solo album.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
From I think 2008 or 2009, something like that. Yeah, just amazing. I love his writing and his playing. I think he's one of the most gifted writers in metal. So that's why I hate that he's an arch enemy and not writing anything. You know,
I totally agree.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair
That
enough.
album
Yeah.
is fantastic as well.
it is.
It just showcases what he can do.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And I have to say I like his second one even better. I mean, this is a 10 out of 10, but the second one is like 11 out of 10. Plains of Oblivion, but that came out later, so I couldn't pick it for this. But it's just an amazing album. Nothing to be said. I mean, it's all shredding. His music. I mean, it's got a lot of the Jason Becker, Marty Friedman, cacophony kind of vibe.
Okay.
But it's updated, down-tuned, and it's just played like he's a beast, of course. So Loomis, number 3.
Excellent.
Good
Great
choice,
pick.
good choice.
Great pick. Mine is a pretty new band for me, but it has made such a huge impact. I put it in the list, even though I've only been listening to them a short time. And I found out about this band only from researching Matt Thompson, who was on just a little while ago. So his band, Shaolin Death Squad, Intelligent Design, which I find it's such a great album. It's this prog with these smooth, beautiful harmonies. It's really complex. It's like Galactic Cowboys meets Fates Warning at a death jazz show, and if you just want to listen to their opening track, it's called A Terrible Way to Use a Sword. On YouTube, you can watch Matt Thompson do the playthrough. He's dressed up in his that Black Ninja outfit playing this. There's just something about this band, because the other albums don't strike me this way, but it's this album. It just hits me in all kinds of ways that I have not had an awful lot with bands, especially new bands or bands I love. There's just something about the combinations of elements. And there's one track that, Justin, since you are a Pink Floyd fan, that reminds me a lot of, has a Pink Floyd like influence, or sounds in it. So yeah, there's just something about this band, and it surprises me that it just has risen up so quickly, but I can't listen to this record enough. And so there's my number 3, Shaolin Death Squad, Intelligent Design.
They were actually opening for us back in, must have been 2005 or 2007 when Therion played in the States. We played in Texas, and I had never heard of those guys. And they were now sound checking. I was like, holy shit, this sounds pretty cool, And then they came on and played, and they had the ninja suits and everything.
Yeah.
It's this. Unbelievable. know. And they were super friendly guys as well. So I got their, I can't remember what the album was called back then. I haven't listened to them in a while. But I'm gonna check out that album you're talking about.
Yeah, they had their EP. And then this one was their second album, I think, because then they had the 5 Deadly Venoms was the third one, and then they have fourth one, something like You Are Not Us or You Are One of Us or something like that. And there might be working on a new album, but yeah,
Okay.
this one, the first album's good. Their first EP is good. This one, I don't know, it just hits me in all the right places, and
Cool.
yeah, it's a great album. So that's cool that you guys played with them. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
man.
It is
They were
really cool.
awesome. So cool.
Oh, well, I was going to talk to Matt about bringing Death Squad on, Shaolin Death Squad. So, yeah, because he was super nice. And
Mhm.
so I'd love to talk with him,
Yeah.
So that's cool. Oh, excellent. All right, Shop Top number 2.
Number 2, Halford's Resurrection.
That is a good album.
This is the album, I mean, produced by Roy Z, who is
Yep.
underrated producer and one hell of a guitar player as well. We've talked about him before, guys, but
Yeah,
I mean,
with
you
Bruce.
talk about coming back to form after, he had the Fight albums. The first Fight album, love it.
Right.
The second one was kind of like, eh. And then
Right.
that Disastrous 2 project was industrial, kind of whatever was going on there. The man, he came out of the gates with this. all
Yeah.
guns blazing, no pun intended with him. But, I mean, my God, Maiden Hell is one of the most jamminest riffs I've ever
Yeah,
heard.
absolutely.
And I think, also Resurrection, the opening track, it's like you hear that, you scream, it's just screaming right into it. And you're like, yes. And that kicks in. Silent Scream is one of the most beautiful and haunting and heavy ballads that I think anybody's ever done metal. So yeah, Halford's Resurrection.
Good one. Excellent
Very nice.
choice.
Very
Good one.
nice.
Good choice.
Justin, number 2.
My number 2 goes to Opeth, Ghost Reveries. Just a phenomenal album from start to finish. It showcases the band at their very best. Blackwater Park is brilliant. Deliverance, Damnation, brilliant. But this is the culmination of everything. And it was where they were going in the nutshell. So for me, yeah, you've got like Ghost of Perdition, Bang of the Hounds, Reveries, Harlequin Forest, The Grand Conservation, Isolation Years. Do a great cover of Soldier of Fortune on that album. Yeah, all in all, 10 points. It's just, yeah, what can you say? They knock it out of the park.
It's a great album. It was the first time I saw them on tour. Was that tour? Just phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually his vocals on that album are. This is where, like, on this record, it's where he starts to feel comfortable. Like you could hear his clean singing on like earlier stuff, like The Still Life, Blackwater Park, Deliverance, Damnation. Like he was singing clean, but he wasn't so comfortable. But on this record, he really like takes the podium and just like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna deliver.
Because his voice is warm and it's beautiful.
It's great.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, the first 9 seconds of Ghost of Perdition, when I had that blasting, the intro, that brum, 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 I was like, okay. And then it comes in, bah, bah. It scared the shit out of me. Like I was like, holy Jesus. I turned the volume down. It blew me away. But and Mendes, I can't like a lot of people talk about, Kulle or Fredrik Åkesson and Michael or Lopez and Axelrod or those guys. But I mean, Martin Mendes is one of my heroes as a bass player.
Amazing bass player. Yeah.
Fantastic. Like his feel and just the touch, what he does on the bass is just great. And you really hear him on that record as well. It's just fantastic. So Ghost Reveries, number 2.
Excellent. You guys are friends
Very
with
nice.
Opeth. You're Swedish, you're friends. Do you have any insight into what happened with Axelrod? like not in the band
You're
anymore?
Swedish. You're
Come on,
friends.
you guys know each other. Obviously, you
No.
guys must know each other, hang out all the time. So,
No comment.
Because all we heard was just that little bit, like the wording was very carefully worded. They just were not, again, a disagreement about something, or they couldn't come to a meeting of the minds about something, and he's gone. Do you guys know anything about that? What
No
happened?
comment.
Okay. All right. So when you guys come tour
Mystery.
with Opeth, you guys come to the States when Opeth comes back. That'll be good. Okay. Well, just I had to ask, you know, because I really love his drumming. I think he's a really, really wonderful drummer, and so I'm curious as to what they're gonna do now. Well, I know they're on tour, but with it, so all
I'll get
right.
back to you.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. All right, Vic, number 2, man.
Megadeth's United Abominations. For me, this album is a pinnacle Megadeth record. It is probably their best from the new crop. And it landed in that trajectory that Black Metal Universe was headed, in my opinion. I mean, the riffing is fantastic. Sleepwalker, you know, all these songs, man. Burnt Ice. I fucking love Dave Mustaine's writing style. Huge influence on me personally. The guy just is a untapped cache of riffs, you know. And I mean, like, yeah, Megadeth had their bad records and unsavory records, but I mean, they always pull back and deliver something fucking tastic. And you know, this album really, really hit all the buttons for me, man. Like, you know, it's cool and it's foreboding. And I mean, I don't really like Vic Rattlehead with Flesh, but you know, I dig that album start to finish, and that was a real exciting time for me. That was, you know, in my hungry young days of writing thrash, so that album was real influential, and it gave me something. It gave me an impossible target to hit. You know, that run and Endgame and 13 for me are absolute gems in the Megadeth collection. So that album really, really did it for me. Fucking love the production on it. Dave's voice hadn't gotten, like, it was really good on that record, you know, like, you know, Dave's vocals, he's developed his vocals for a long time, but recently he had some kind of throat surgery or something. So Dystopia, he sounds distinctly different than he did on this particular run of records. So this was like all the gears fit together perfectly on this. And they got Chris Broderick was on guitar on that one, I believe. And man, just a whole new layer of awesome, man. That guy's a fucking terrific guitar player. I don't know if he was fresh out of Jag Panzer on that. I don't know if he had left Jag Panzer before or that and then joined Megadeth, but his work is really fantastic. So a great, you know, person to bring in for that lineup. So really solid record.
I know he was briefly with Nevermore also, Vic. You know, for a while.
Was he alive? Did he do live? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's he probably jumped over maybe on that, and then they snagged it. He's probably a free agent. So yeah, great fucking lineup. Great fucking record.
And you know that dude is in flames now, right?
Chris Broderick?
Yeah.
Really?
No shit. That's
No shit.
wild, man. That's not something I would have ever guessed.
That's out of left field, yeah.
Interesting, because he's fantastic, man. I absolutely love his playing.
Cool.
And side effect, all the good members of In Flames and the Gothenburg scene have joined forces in the Halo Effect.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I
Interesting.
love getting all the info. That's awesome. I haven't seen In Flames since they opened for Slayer back in 2001, I think. Yeah.
If you like In Flames from like the 2000s to 2010, you're gonna definitely dig the Halo Effect.
All right. I just like they came out in like white jumpsuits. They're all wearing like painters outfits. I'm like, it's like ABBA on stage. Like, this is awesome. You know, like that was so awesome. Like, who wears matching suits on stage anymore? This is great. Yeah, that was awesome.
ABBA does.
Yeah, exactly. They got a new album out, ABBA. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. It's great.
Yeah, I've heard a couple tracks. It's really good. They got the whole virtual concert experience. Like, good for them, man. Yeah. Amazing. All right, Dread, number 2.
All right, we're going back to some symphonic metal here from Finland. One of my all-time favorite bands, top 3 probably for me, Nightwish. 2007 Dark Passion Play. Love this album. It was kind of a toss-up between this and the previous album, Once.
Once is great. I do.
Yeah,
I do like Once,
I think this still musically takes a step forward, even though they had lost their original singer, Tarja. And again, I apologize for my bad pronunciations of these, but yeah,
Jeez,
whatever you think of
what are you from America? God.
yeah. Well, whatever you think of the new singer on this album, I think musically they still take a step forward here. I think it's symphonically it's a richer album, and yeah, a lot of dark tracks and some of their darkest, most angry stuff on this album. I think probably reflecting the turmoil that was going on with the loss of their singer. And the keyboardist Tuomas writes everything, composes everything. So yeah, there's some great heavy stuff. Bye Bye Beautiful, 7 Days to the Wolves, Master Passion Greed is probably the angriest track in Nightwish history. It's so damn good though. That'll give you stank face if anything. Meadows of Heaven, beautiful track on that album. Yeah, just top to bottom, another great. Like I said, these guys just get better, I think, and then with Floor Jansen now and lead vocals over their last couple albums, it's phenomenal.
Excellent. Good
So,
pick. Good pick.
Love Nightwish.
All right. Kristian, your number 2.
My number 2, yeah, it was my number 1 and number 2 are it was very hard to decide which one was which. But number 2 is Celtic Frost, Monotheist. It's a amazing album. Probably almost the hardest album for me. Like, I mean, it's such a attitude, and it's just evil. I don't know, it's hard to describe it, but it's fucking evil. And the tone, his guitar tone, and the writing, and his vocals, and the whole mood of the album. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Tom. I mean, Triptychon I love, and I mean, this Celtic Frost album, for me, I mean, maybe probably old school guys won't agree, but I think it's the best one they ever did, so that's my number 2. It's just solid from beginning to end. Amazing.
I can remember
It ain't
hearing
no
that
cold
one.
lake. It ain't no cold lake, bro.
Nope, it isn't.
No.
No.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a very good thing. But I remember hearing that as well. Like Monotheist was like when I put it in the first time, I was just like, what is this? Like, this is just, I wasn't expecting the sound.
Yeah.
And it just sounds so heavy. Like when you go through it, it takes like, for me being relatively, like I'd heard other stuff, but never a whole album. So Monotheist for me was like a first album experience, and listening to it like start to finish, it was just like, wow, I need to listen to this multiple times, get into it. And it just got darker and darker and evil. Like the more I went down the rabbit hole, the darker it got. So it was just a fantastic album. You always find, like, I could put it on now and probably hear something that I didn't hear a year ago.
Yeah.
That's great.
Just a great record.
I love when records do that, when bands do
Yeah.
that. They put out something that doesn't get stale. You've heard it, you're always excited about it. There's something about it that grabs you every time. Oh, that's great. Wonderful. My number 2 pick, Justin, I was like with you, man. It's an Opeth. It's Watershed. And I was like going back and forth between Ghost Reveries and Watershed. Watershed's phenomenal, just like Ghost Reveries, Coil, Heir Apparent, Lotus Eaters, Hex Omega. It's just a stellar album, and he was still transitioning out of the death metal vocals into the cleaner, as they went. But yeah, I mean, what more do you say? Opeth is an exciting band. They take you on musical journeys, and you never know what to expect. And these epic songs, they could have 25 changes in sound and tone and time changes, and it's just always exciting. And it becomes accessible when you listen to it. If you can get into it, some people are off put by the death metal growls, but if you get into it, let yourself get into it, it's well worth the listen. So
Totally
yeah. My number 2,
So,
Opeth.
I saw that with the Heir Apparent. They did a gig. It was the first time that Fredrik was playing with them live. So they did a gig. We have a boat that goes between Stockholm and Helsinki to Finland. And there was like this metal boat, so that they had like Opeth and a few other metal bands, but Opeth was the big draw. And they opened the set with a new track, and it was Heir Apparent.
Oh,
and it was the first time anybody had heard it, and I think it was about 3 or 4 months before the album was actually released.
Wow.
You can see it on YouTube and stuff from like 2008, I think. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was just a fantastic show.
Oh yeah, yeah, great. That's awesome. All right, so our number one picks of the evening. Number one, Chop Top. What is your number one metal
Drum
album of the
roll,
2000s?
please. Maybe nobody's it's anybody's surprised, but my favorite band of all time, Brave New World.
You still got your hype sticker on yours.
Yeah, I got my hype. I couldn't take it off, man. I was so damn excited just to see that. Yeah, now it's a sextet, you know. But yeah, what can be said that's already been said about that album? That is classic Maiden. That's a return to form, what we were all yearning for quite a while, like a decade, and over a decade. So yeah, Brave New World, number one for me.
Mm-hmm. And I think Rock in Rio, that recording they did of that tour, was the best live album they've done since Live After Death. It's
Agreed.
just
Wow.
a great set list, great sound.
Yeah.
Big epic. Oh yeah. Yeah. All right, Justin, your number one pick.
Number one for me would have to be Dissection's Rain Chaos. It is the best, I would say one of the best black metal bands without being campy. I think that's,
Yeah.
you know, with black metal coming out of Norway and stuff like that, it was always a bit like clowny, like they always had face paint on them and they looked like clowns for me. It was like, okay, they're singing about Satan and they shoot each other or kill each other and they burn churches. Like, wow, great, okay, cool. What about the music? But I think that's where, you know, my love for Swedish metal and stuff like that came from, because I was listening to bands like Therion and stuff, like early Therion and Opeth and all that. And Dissection was always one of those bands that were just they were just so brutal in the way they wrote great melodies and stuff like that, but they were just so brutal. And I think that Rain Chaos, after John went to jail for doing what he did, he killed someone. But I think that was kind of like his swan song, almost like a suicide note. It was very bittersweet. The album itself is very emotional, like he wrote it in prison. So I think that record for me, it just has so much emotion in it and so much, it's so very visceral that when you listen to it, it's just like, wow, like there's not a bad track on it for me, start to finish. It's just a very eerie, and it kind of goes away from what they were doing with like the traditional black metal, like Stockholm black metal or Swedish black metal, I guess you would call it. And they were going into something a lot more melodic with two guitar players, like, you know, and twin solos and stuff like that. It just sounded like a very different band, a very mature band. A lot of like the True fans, like True TVRE.
Yeah.
They don't like that album, but I think it was their best album. Yeah, hands down. Number one. Just a solid album. I love it. I don't condone what the guy did, but that album is just
right.
Separate
the artist from the work.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yeah. Nice. All right.
I saw him on that tour. When was it released?
2005.
Yeah, we played with Therion in Tolmin, actually. You know, Metal Days, that festival. We played with, and they were playing there. This section with, and that was the year before he killed himself.
Yeah.
You know. And it was a shame because it was like daylight and they were one of the first bands, you know. You could just, I mean, the music, I really love Rain Cows as well. It's awesome. But you could tell, I mean, if that would have been, you know, set in darkness, you know, with a light show and everything, that would have been unbelievable. But this was like bright daylight, you know, it was
yeah,
it just doesn't work. Yeah, right.
Luckily they did it justice with the DVD rebirth of, I can't remember what it's called, Rebirth of Chaos or something like that, but the Rebirth of Dissection. But they did it it's in Stockholm, where they're playing live in the dark.
Yeah.
All right, Vic, your number one pick.
My number one is Super Christ's Headbanger. I'm sure none of you guys know who Super Christ is. Chris Black is a just phenomenon from Chicago, Illinois. He's in Pharaoh. He's in High Spirits. He was in Superchrist. He was in Dawnbringer. He's in a band called Actor. He was in Knockmistium for a minute. The guy's all over the place, but he really is a brilliant songwriter. So all you Motorhead fans, this is a record you absolutely need to check out. Chris's two biggest influences are Bathory and Motorhead. In everything he does, you can hear these influences in the music. And this album, this is an album that shouldn't be overlooked. It's criminally underrated. I wouldn't say underrated. It's just overlooked. No one knows this album. And from start to finish, all these songs, fucking love this album. I know that Mark, you will absolutely love this record. So please write it down and check it out.
I'm recording this, so yeah, I got it all.
Yeah, no, that record is one of my favorite. Again, another one that I had to buy on vinyl because there's several of these records are Desert Island records for me, and this is one of them.
Nice.
So this album, these songs are fucking great. You take everything with a grain of salt. There are song titles on here that Mark's definitely going to get just a major tickle out of. But yeah, some great stuff. One of my favorite Superchrist songs is "Built for Sin." I'm not gonna talk about what it's about, but it's I absolutely love it. One of my favorite. I love that song. I play that song. I warm up at gigs with the riff in that song. That's the song for me. Fucking love that record. And Chris is a phenomenal musician. Absolutely. Check out his bands if you guys have not checked them out. Dawnbringer and High Spirits and Superchrist all deserve to be checked out. Awesome bands, all of them. But this one falls within the criteria. So this one made my number one slot.
Excellent.
Cool.
Very good. Very good.
Nice.
Dreadbull, you're number one.
All right, back to mainstream. So of course my favorite band, Dream Theater. They put out 5 albums in the 2000s. Could have picked any. I mean, I think they're all great. If I had to pick one, I guess, I'll go Systematic Chaos. I love this album. As I say that, I feel bad for not picking like Train of Thought or Octavarium, but whatever. Pick any of them. Yeah, this one's, I like the darkness of this one. It's one of their darker albums. Whereas Train of Thought's a little more straightforward, heavy, but this one is, In the Presence of Enemies, a great epic Dream Theater song, split into 2 parts that kind of bookends the whole album. Dark Eternal Night has some of the heaviest riffs they've ever played. Constant Motion is a great song. So it's just an awesome, great album, as are all. You mentioned 6 Degrees. That was their first one in the 2000. I think that came out in 2000. But yeah, awesome stuff. Love these guys.
Excellent.
Still do. And they've never put out a bad album.
Well, we'll come to that soon.
Oh, that's for another.
Don't even talk shit.
Astonishing.
I'll find
All right, Kristian, your number
not
one
a bad
pick.
album.
I've only listened to the half, so I can't judge it yet.
Yeah, shut up.
All right, my number one.
Number one.
My number one, yes, it's I don't know if you heard this band. It's a black metal band from Norway, like Justin was talking shit about. But yeah. But as far as I know, this dude did never have panda makeup and shit. The band is called Thorns. You know it?
No,
I haven't heard that.
I maybe know the name. Not familiar with the music.
Okay, yeah, it's like. I think he only released 1 album. I mean, he did a split with Emperor, I know, but this album, it's just called Thorns. It's from 2001. It is the most different sounding black metal album, I've ever heard. It's the guitar tone is like, daisy chaining like 3 heavy metal pedals, straight into.
Oh goodness, yes.
It's like so gnarly. But it's like so cold and so high tech in a way, and he's got some guest musicians on it. Hellhammer on drums.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and Satyr is doing some vocals, and some other guys from like other Norwegian black metal bands are doing like also guest vocals. And the music is just, I mean, yeah, it's the best album for me in the whole 2000s. You know, that it just owns everything. It's really cool if we're into black metal, you know, and some different kind of black metal, not like, doesn't sound like Dark Throne, or doesn't sound anything like, you know, Immortal or Dimmu Borgir or any of those bands. It's just a different vibe. It's like sci-fi black metal, you know.
Not the cliche clowny stuff. I mean, there were good bands. I mean, Ishan, Emperor, that for me is like, that's great black metal from Norway. Like, that's not one of the clowny. No. I'm talking like, when I talk clown, it's like Immortal, Dark Throne, like the guys in Corpse Paint that are like this.
The great black metal bands is what you're saying. The great ones.
The great ones. Yeah,
the great ones.
I guess we can agree to disagree, but I'm gonna definitely check that out. Thorns.
Yeah, Thorns. Yeah.
We call new metal the clowns here. That's the clown of metal over in the US. You know, your Limp Biscuits and whatnot. So,
that's great. So many new bands to listen to. That's wonderful, Kristian. Thank you. I mean, I'm huge list. Huge list of new music, and I'm excited. I'm so excited. My number one is I guess we're gonna go with a clown band, King Diamond, Abigail 2.
Abigail 2 is good, man.
Abigail
that's
2
a great
is
record.
a fucking ripper of an album. And it just, songs like The Storm and Broken Glass and More Than Pain and Spirits. This was the first album that Matt Thompson came in drums, and I think like in The Storm, you hear that crazy syncopation and offbeat stuff that he brings to these melodies. And I think the guitar work is some of the best they had you know, on all the albums. Like, this matches Abigail, I think, as far as it is a great album, better than some of the other stuff that came out afterwards. But yeah, it's dark and it's true to form, and this album always excites me, and I love concept albums. I love telling these horror stories that I could picture in my head. And when I taught an English class, we had a section on horror, and it was my intro to horror class, one of our papers. So I had my students read some H.P. Lovecraft, and then listen to a couple of King Diamond albums, and then they had to talk about how King Diamond kind of embodied some of Lovecraft's themes, and you can kind of read some of those. And Abigail 2 was one of the albums, that and Puppet Master. And so anyway, this album is just great, and it kind of embodies everything that I like in that kind of black genre, black metal, and it's my exciting number one pick.
Great.
Yeah. Well, we have gone through a lot of great music. Some of the stuff I have not heard enough of or heard of any of, but I'm really excited to listen to some new music. And I really appreciate everyone bringing in their lists. And Justin, Kristian, I really appreciate your time. I know it's late for you, but thank you for staying with us.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Thank you so
Always
much.
a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
The next time we'll meet earlier in the day for you, so it won't be buttoned up till like 11 o'clock, your bedtime. So now you probably have something that you might want to plug, don't you? You have something going on the 5th, right? The 4th.
We're going to be playing songs from this album.
Which album is that? Which album?
That's Lamenting of the Innocent by a band called Sorcerer. And the band Sorcerer will be playing in Marburg in Germany at Riddle of Steel Festival on December 4th. We'll be headlining the gig. So
there's got to be one guy dressed like Conan in there with a Riddle of Steel. Also do.
I hope so. Just so I can give him a kram, because kram is the god.
Yes,
exactly. And kram in Swedish means hug. So I'll give him a hug.
Nice.
But yeah, on the 4th of December, we'll be playing in Marburg, Germany at Riddle of Steel.
Go to the show.
Awesome. If you're in Germany,
go to the show.
Go see Sorcerer.
Go to the show.
Yeah, that's right. Go to the show. Go to the show. Buy a T-shirt. Will you have some shirts for sale?
Of course.
Excellent. All right, we'll talk. We gotta get some shirts from you.
Absolutely.
All right. So this has been Montag, Master of Illusion.
And Chop Top.
Dreadbull.
Wildcard.
And Justin, I'm not going to do the whole D20 thing, just Justin.
Chris.
And you've been watching and listening to Heavy Metal.
This is Doug Helvering, and you have been listening to Heavy Metal Horror, the best podcast that you've never heard before.